Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the M&C show. We are live.
You're damn right we're live. What's up, everybody? How's it going? Hopefully you guys are all doing good. We are live right now. As you guys filter in, please go ahead and hit that like button, share it out as well. That would be greatly appreciated. It's a heck of a morning because lucky me, Mooch, we got some news over the middle of the night about the PlayStation 5 in particular.
It's gonna be good, buddy. It's gonna be great.
Out of all days, too, we get it on a in a Sunday morning. I guess our time.
Sunday. That's odd.
M&C Sunday morning. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. And what's up, everybody in the crowd already? Wow, I'm actually surprised there's such a big crowd here so early. But let's go. It's make your mornings bright and happy and cheery, and we appreciate everybody that comes on out here and kind of does that. We got the man, the myth, the legend, straight off the boat from Italy. He likes pizza. He likes food analogies. Here he is, Mooch. What's going on, man?
Oh, listen, but it is. You're right. This is a big deal. We never get breaking news on a Sunday. It's always kind of just same news that we talked about on Wednesday, then we talk about on Friday, then we talked about on Saturday. I'm looking forward to it, Crap. I mean, there's a lot to get into. There's the actual design that's been an uproar, the size of the PS5. Then there's the cooling issue. Then there's the games. Then there's the loading times. There's a lot to get into. And now there is footage out there as of today. What was it? As of like 6 hours ago that shows exactly what the PS5 can do. And now we know a little bit more about it. And, Crap, a lot of things are actually, you tweeted something out similar yesterday, but second verse is same as the first here.
Yes.
Right? I like that. That was very good. Nobody knows who Herman's Hermits are, but nonetheless. Right? Well,
hey, you knew, I knew. It's all good.
It's all right. It's all that needs to be known.
It's like the whole one more thing. You know what I mean? I like
one more thing. Yes.
One more thing. Yeah. Like I do that a lot. People just look at me like, what? What's the thing? Yeah. Who? Yeah. Come on,
I
man.
gotta be honest with you. So it was just revealed, I believe. Shout out to Brap. He just tweeted it out. But they were saying that IGN actually didn't get PS4 till 2 weeks or 3 weeks before the PS4 launch. So this strategy Sony's doing isn't necessarily a reaction to what's going on globally, Crap. This may just be that this is their plan of attack for releasing consoles. They did it with the PS4. We're seeing it again with the PS5.
Yeah, and also, man, shout out to Nova, man. He gets this thing running. What's up, man? How you doing today?
What's going on, everybody? We're coming fresh off the heels of an amazing Crossfire episode. I'm excited to get into it, man, and talk these topics.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I got to say, your podcast is sounding great, man. You got a good panel there, and it's very cool. If you guys haven't checked that out, check that out as well. Make sure you guys subscribe, and also subscribe to Mooch so that he can get beyond he can get that 10,000 mark that he's been trying to get to. Yeah, like it just seems like that immovable object, man. You can't get to it.
It's like a half of a calorie to click the subscribe button. Guys, go over after the show and click it.
I don't understand it, man. I do not understand it, man. You should have more. You should have quadruple that, man. It's crazy that you don't. So, man, if I could subscribe 100,000 times, I would.
I appreciate that, Crap.
It's good stuff, man. I really do appreciate it, and everybody in the chat and stuff like that. How you guys doing? Man, I can see I got some haters in the chat already. Crapgamer got roasted by Phil Spencer. That was 2016, my friend. Also thinks 4K makes you a better gamer. Again, Mooch, do people have selective learning when it comes to this kind of stuff? Because I thought it was pretty obvious. When I was making that 4K makes you a better gamer stuff, I was making fun of the Sony stuff when they were saying 1080p makes you a better gamer. There has never been a time where I thought resolution makes you a better gamer. Resolution completely different than graphics, even early on, and I stick by this. 900p Rise looked far better than most things 1080p on the PS4 at the beginning. You know what I'm saying? So realistically, that was always my point. People don't get the jokes, and if you don't get the satire of the jokes, man, that's on you. That's on your. My humor is a little bit different than anybody else, but yeah. So a lot of people that think that I went south on Xbox in 2016 after that, you might have not paid attention, because I was perfectly fine with Xbox until 2019 when they did that horrendous E3. Mooch, we were live on the air, man. If I could have cried on the air, I mean, I was that close. Yeah. It was so bad. It was such a bad show, so it was. Yeah, it was like at that point where I was like, I'm not sure Xbox is for me anymore, in terms of what they're offering. Hey, but if they're for you, that's perfectly fine, man. If you want to spend your money on Xbox, that people forget that. They act like I'm telling them what to do. Right. That's not the case at all, man. I don't care what you spend your money on. Spend it on whatever you want. I'm just saying, for me personally, I've given my own personal kind of opinions on this kind of subject. So that's basically all I could do. So yeah, that's basically all I could do.
I don't blame it. Crap. We were talking about this on Friday a bit, and we both have Series X's pre-ordered, and I'll tell you the truth. There's certain things that you say, okay, we've seen come out of the Xbox camp, and I'm excited for. Shout out to the great Sin Vendetta, who I've been talking to behind the scenes as well on Twitter and through my streams that I've been doing on Twitch. Crap. And, he says, one of the things he's really looking forward to is playing Sekiro, right, in 60 frames. And you know what? Listen, that's not necessarily something I can say. That's a great thing to look forward to. Like, that is a lot of fun. I've been playing Sekiro on like 120 frames on PC. And let me tell you something. The difference from 30 to 60, or it doesn't matter if it's 120 or 140 frames, like, it is a big difference. So it does change your game and how you play. The thing that I've been saying, so I don't want to talk anybody out of that. It's like Crap just said. If you're excited for your Series X, you're not going to hear me say, don't be excited. You should be excited. But yeah, I'm just saying traditionally, again, it's a talk show. And traditionally, as we approach a new console launch, I look forward to things like, new features, which Xbox has some, PlayStation has some. I also look forward to new games. And to say, wow, I'm excited on November 10th. I'm going to try Sekiro 2 in 60 frames, even though I've been playing it on PC at like 120 or 140. But the point of the matter is,
jeez, man, what kind of PC you got, man? Jeez.
Crap, it's a regular PC. Gotcha. Not really. Not really.
I mean, it's like expensive crap. Like, I'm going to put this together, and then
everybody's talking about frames, right? Frames are the new, resolution. Apparently,
I mean, last gen was resolution. This gen apparently is frames.
Yeah. Or that way, I'm going to also make another addition. Crap. This generation's also frames with older games.
Yeah.
It rhymes too. So listen, that's fine. I just myself personally am looking forward to the PS5 a little bit more, mainly because of the games. This would really be a toss-up if you had Halo and Xbox secured another game and they had another first-party studio ready to rock and roll. That would be something that I would totally be down with. So that's fine. Like I said, if you're excited for your Xbox, be excited for the Xbox. But I myself traditionally am a little bit more excited for the PS5 because of the game.
Shout out Dirt Griggity, man. He says, "What's up, fellas? I don't listen to the show as much as I used to for obvious reasons, but I just wanted to say what's up to you, fellas. What's up, Dirt man? What's up, man? He used to be a big old crapaholic mooch maniac there. And then that guy bleeds greed, man. He does, man. And there's nothing wrong with that, to paraphrase you. There's nothing wrong with that. I think that's perfectly fine. For me personally, like I said, in a few years' time, Xbox is going to be a great place to play, but I just feel like it would be insincere for me to go, that's a great place to play already right now. Right. Because, I mean, I guess if you want to play old games or you care about that, then sure. But if you want something new, if you want something next gen, if you want that first party exclusive stuff, then I don't feel like they're really a great place to play, and probably won't be for a few years anyway. So hold on. I Miss Baseball says Xbox has been great with showing everything other than one thing. We're buying the next gen console for next gen games. People are ignoring that. Hey, I'm not ignoring it. Mooch, you're not ignoring it. No. We've been pretty adamant about just exactly sort of what we've been able to see with this. I do feel like, we haven't been able to see that next gen content. The funny thing to me about that was this console was unveiled last year. Okay. Right. And we still haven't seen a new game running on it. Like some people say Falconer or whatever. Was it? I mean, I don't know. But I'm talking about like a real next-gen game, like even something third-party. But yet the Series S was unveiled, just a few weeks ago or whatever?
And we've already seen talk about it anymore, right?
And the thing is we've already seen, tons of stuff absolutely shown on that. They showed Assassin's Creed. They showed a lot of that stuff. So I think that, I feel like what they've been able to accomplish with it, why would they show something that was just announced, footage on that, but not something that was announced like a year ago? I feel like that has been a little bit of a problem. And so hopefully that sort of worked itself out. Like I would love there to be something showcased new. Maybe that's going to be this upcoming week. A lot of the influencers and stuff are absolutely going out there and doing that kind of stuff. But speaking of influencers, we wanted to talk we're going to get into the influencers and what they thought about the Xbox Series X. this past week in a minute, but I wanted to give a little bit of shine to the influencers that actually were talking about the first impressions and sort of like mini reviews of the PlayStation 5. A bunch of Japanese influencers and YouTubers had their videos go live early this morning, showcasing different things about the PlayStation 5. Now, again, it's sort of, you can tell that they're excited about it and they love it. And now some of that stuff is getting translated and put into different articles and stuff like that. But the thing that I was very interested in was absolutely being able to see a lot of the gameplay running on a PS5. We actually got to see the PS5 again. Absolutely. For some reason, I was expecting the PS5 to be like this huge beast of a thing, and it's a large console, but it's not like this boulder of a console that people were making it out to be. So yeah, I did find that to be very interesting, and I got to say that was pretty cool to see.
I kind of have an issue, Crap. Let's take it step by step here. There's so much to discuss, not just with the influencers and what they saw and revealed for us as of early this morning, but a lot of discussion over the weekend was the size of the two consoles. And I had a tweet go out early yesterday because I was kind of like, I'm just confused on it. Like, so I hear everybody say, okay, not everybody, pardon me. The majority of people are saying their Xbox Series X are going to keep vertical, which, by the way, definitely the way it was designed, that's fine.
I won't be able to keep either vertical. I have to, because the way I think I have a similar setup as you with the little cubby holes at the top.
Yeah, I'm going horizontal with, well, I mean, I don't know yet if the Series X will fit horizontally into my entertainment center because it may be too, the thickness of it might be, I don't know. Who knows? It's hard to tell until I actually get it. I haven't gotten out the tape measure like everybody else has. That's neither here nor there. But my point I don't understand is everyone's making a big deal about the PlayStation 5 being that much bigger. Even if it's a few inches taller as it stands, wherever you're going to put your Series X, like, are you out of air above it? Like, is there an air issue? Like, wherever you're going vertically on a desk or on top of an entertainment center, I hear people saying, I'm going to put it on the side of my entertainment center. I'm going to put it behind my entertainment center. Like, there's just air above there, right? So I don't understand how that wouldn't necessarily work. When you're talking about you have an entertainment center that may fit it perfectly vertically, and you're out of room above it. I guess so, but most people in those aspects would be keeping it horizontally. I don't see the issue here because when you lay them both horizontally, the PlayStation is then more slim on a horizontal front. Yes, it would be deeper, but usually in an entertainment center, you've got plenty of room on whatever shelving you're using behind that. So it's not really going to be a depth issue. It'll fit horizontally easier, and that's typically how we've kept consoles for the most part, because if you're going vertical, there's no difference between the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation saying, are you out of, like, if you're putting it on top of a desk, are you out of air? Like, what happens if it's on top of a desk, Crap? What could possibly be hitting? I don't know. Myself, I just don't see the conflict.
Yeah, I don't see it either. And actually, I'm looking at some of these like 4K resolution photos of the PS5 because it was a big deal. Everybody with the tinfoil hat saying we haven't even seen a PS5, Mooch. Well, I think it's fake. That PS5 doesn't exist. It's just Sony smoke and mirrors.
It's a PS5.
Yeah, exactly. So, what is a PS5? I don't know.
I'm not sure.
But now, we're seeing it. Lots of people are showing pictures of it. I gotta say, that's one handsome console. That is.
I said it when it came out, Crap. I'll let you take the mic again. I just want to briefly put this out there. When I think next generation, I want to see new creative design. I understand that Microsoft may have built something technologically very sound, and that's important. That is
good for them. Yes, I think that's great.
But it's a block. It is just. And listen, if you don't like the way the PS5 looks, guess what? I'm not going to argue with you. I'm saying I like the way it looks. It's sleek. It's something different. It looks like the side panels pop off. That's going to mean custom looking PS5s are going to be like everywhere with new panels to pop on. That's a big deal. That's a lot cheaper than having to also go out and buy a new console every time when you can get a handcrafted panel that pops on and off, and that can have the design and the etches into it as well. You know what I mean? They can even be metallic. They can be all kinds of different materials. So there's ways to make this thing pretty damn cool. Maybe it's a me problem, but I think it's pretty cool. I think it's a neat thing going into next generation, and I think the design looks fantastic. It's neat.
It's neat. It's neat. Yes. Hold on, I got a couple of super chats. LMNOP says, nothing to say, just a couple bucks of support. Appreciate it. Mr. OG White says, you're 100% right. They haven't shown any new next-gen games showing on the new console for Xbox, but we still got some time. PlayStation is just now letting people get their hands on the console. Xbox still has time to show games before the launch. Would you agree? Of course. They've got plenty of time. My point was I would have liked to see gameplay running on this thing before the pre-orders came up. Right? Like, I don't know. We've heard different things that, basically that the SDKs and the XDKs were kind of coming in hot, and that was from Digital Foundry, Eurogamer, and other outlets as well, Jason Schreier and some other people. But even with that being said, it looks like some of the ray tracing is going to be added to these games afterwards, only on the Xbox Series X, which again, if you look at how Digital Foundry does their thing, they're breaking down what footage there's been. Like, they broke down the Spider-Man remastered footage. So they would probably break down the footage on the Series X, and they would see that it has no ray tracing or that it's rough. And Microsoft probably doesn't want that. So they're holding back showing any kind of gameplay. And I do agree that there could be, there probably will be some type of gameplay this upcoming week, probably on some pre-approved games or whatever, because influencers are having it. U of M student says PS5 design the Alienware of consoles. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I guess like Alienware designs some pretty cool looking stuff. It's not for me.
It's a unique look that you either like it or you hate it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, and it's not for me specifically, but yeah, it's I think that the PlayStation 5 looks incredible. I think it's very sleek looking. It's very futuristic looking. But again, like you said, I guess it really comes down to opinion. We have two vastly different looking consoles. And I will point out a little bit of the hypocrisy real quick. Last gen, when the Xbox One was a big balking VCR player, everybody said, "Oh, it doesn't matter. Who cares how big it is? It plays games, blah, blah, blah." Yeah. Right now, all of a sudden,
that's the thing. I just don't get it. Like, people keep the same energy. That's the thing. We kept the same energy.
We did.
Back in 2013, I didn't care. People were like, "Mooch, it looks like a VCR." I'm like, listen, again, if it fits horizontally into an entertainment center, it works, and it's
play games,
time, right? It plays games. Yep. I don't care. I said that in 2013. Now here we are in 2020, and people are like, "Well, the PlayStation 5's big." Again, it's taller than the Xbox. It's thinner than the Xbox, but it's taller than the Xbox. I don't care. It's not that big of a deal. It's not like one is the size of like a king size bed and the other one's the size of a twin mattress. It doesn't matter. I don't get it. I really don't understand. So this is just, and when you see people discussing that and making that a big deal, that's when you know that there's a deflection here. And the deflection is really, hey, look at the really small size of the Xbox. Don't pay any attention and look over here that we're not showing any new games on it. You know what I mean? Don't look over here yet. We're just smaller and quieter. You know what I mean? It's like, well, what good does that do me if I don't have a new game to try off on it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't really. To me, when I saw all that banter going back and forth, I'm like, guys, this is a non-issue. It really doesn't matter. I don't see how you're going to be like, oh, I'm not going to put a console in my house at this point because it's 3 inches taller than the Xbox Series X. I'm out.
Exactly. You're out. Yeah, I get it. I get it.
So,
yeah.
Also, one thing I want to mention that if any of you guys have seen Xbox Pope's designs on Twitter, follow him at Xbox Pope. He makes these amazing designs for consoles, and based on what I've seen for his PS5 designs, I mean, the special editions on that console are going to look crazy. And just to add to your point, the console's under your TV or next to your TV at all times. You're watching the TV, not your console when you're playing.
Exactly. Like who cares? I miss baseball says Sony knocked it out of the park on the design. When people walk into a store, it demands attention. It gets people talking. Would you guys agree? I 100% agree. And I usually don't think stuff like this to me was kind of funny. It seems like something I would do. Maybe you saw Angry Joe's review of his Xbox Series X. Did you guys see that?
No, I did not.
It was a garbage can because he didn't get one. You know what I mean? Like, listen, he's not like they're not friends with him, even though despite the fact that his early stuff was all basically all Xbox because of that whole can't you flip the switch stuff. You know what I mean? Like they are still ticked off at him. So he did this little video and I just thought it was funny where he's like, I got one. And it's like a garbage can or whatever. So yeah, I do agree that the PS5 is a little bit more striking and more handsome of a console. But I think that the Xbox Series X does what it does. You know, look what Microsoft wants to do. They're blurring the lines between PC and console. So it's like a little PC, right? Like it is what it is. I think it's fine. If you like that, that's on you too, man. I'm not saying I don't like it. I'm just saying for me personally, it's just sort of not as inventive. Like they didn't put as much effort into it as maybe we would have liked to see. You know, as we crossed 700 people watching live, please hit the like button. Let's get up over 200 likes. Maybe we hit a certain number, I've got a couple of codes to give away to the chat at the end of the show.
Nice.
If we can get there, man. I've got a few different things that I can give away. So hoping to sort of doing that. Stafford Joe says Angry Joe pissed off Major Nelson. I think, yeah, I'm guessing that's probably the case. That's probably the case, because he's like, you can't just flip the switch. And so anyway, by the way, I did link some of this, some of these videos right now. You probably won't be able to understand much, but the gameplay I thought was something that was really cool. And we saw more gameplay than I thought we would. So we saw Astro's Playroom, we saw Godfall, Devil May Cry 5, and Balin Walderworld. Is that how it's? Yeah, Wonderworld. I thought it was Wonderworld, but I guess it's Walderworld.
Wally World. I don't know.
No, it's Wonderworld. This article is just this article just has it misspelled. Okay, that's awesome. So yeah, Balin, Wonderworld. All this stuff has gameplay, and I gotta say, if you didn't think Godfall looks good or whatever, I would say go watch some of these videos, because Godfall actually looks very crisp and very clean and very smooth. So I think they did a really good job with that, and I thought that overall what they were able to accomplish with the gameplay was nothing short of incredible. So now we've actually seen this console, and it looks great. I think it looks fantastic. It's not as bulky as everybody was saying it was. I think it looks like a fine, like, this is like, if you would have asked me 20 years ago, hey, what do you think a game console in 2020 was going to look like? And they showed a lineup of consoles, I would have picked that as the one that would have been for 2020, because it looks very futuristic and it looks very sleek, and it just looks, I don't know, I really like the look of it. So with that being said, now we've seen that, and we've seen some gameplay. We've seen some very interesting stuff from that as well, like in terms of what they're going to be able to accomplish, in terms of, everybody complained about the fan noise and how hot these things are, right? And now we have an idea that it's not. Okay, so this person actually played it, and he says, what's the temperature of the main body with the cooling mechanism of the PS5? And he says, I started playing one of the launch titles, Godfall, and after a while I checked it, but the wind coming out of the exhaust was gentle and didn't feel extremely hot. At this time, the temperature of the studio was about 30 degrees from the specifications of the installed SoC. It is considered that it operates around 55 to 60 degrees when it comes to that. You might think, isn't that noise so great? But the opposite is true. Again, this is a translated text. As mentioned above, the exhaust was gentle, and I could hardly hear what seemed to be the rotating noise of the fan. By the way, the studio where I shot was in a basement, and there were 4 lights for recording videos on the ceiling, so the room temperature was as high as 30 degrees Celsius. However, in a typical home, the room temperature is likely to be 20 to 25 degrees Celsius. So in other words, if you imagine the use at home from the situation in the studio, it's highly possible that the PS5 has nothing to do with with any of this. So they're saying it's quiet. It's the quietest PlayStation they've ever created, and it's also the coolest PlayStation, even after 80 minutes of play. And I got to say this, like, even when I had my PlayStation 4 Pro and it was running, like, I probably won't get it back for weeks, but that thing was loud when I was playing, like, Last of Us 2 or Ghost of Tsushima or even Avengers. Man, like, you just...
So, there must have been something that Sony did throughout the generation. And guys, tell me in the chat if this is rings true for you. So I currently have the Star Wars Battlefront 2 PS4 Pro, and then I have the Spider-Man PS4 Pro, right? Now, crap, when I play the exact same game, whether it be a disc game or digital, it doesn't matter, and I play it on the Star Wars Battlefront 2 PS4 Pro, this console is whisper quiet.
Yes.
When I play the exact same game on my PS4 Pro Spider-Man edition, it's the jet engine that we hear on the internet that everybody has shown that we all know all too well. And here you're saying, well, wait a minute. Well, one's newer than the other. That's the problem with this scenario. It kind of makes the equation all messed up on both sides of the equals. The Star Wars Battlefront 2 one came out way before the Spider-Man one. So my point being is it's not even well, Mooch, got better as it went on. In this case, the one that I got that's later in the generation is louder than one prior. So I think that possibly, they were using different, I don't know if it was heat sink issue, different fans, because they go through, they'll buy from different contractors as time progresses through the generation. And I don't know, for some reason, this is something that's a big deal for Sony PlayStation gamers, because to be honest with you, having a quiet console is something that Xbox has spoiled us with since 2013. Because even the day one VCR box, which, by the way, I had no problem with at all, with the way it looked, and the size of it, none at all. It was super quiet.
I played games. I mean, listen.
And it didn't disrupt my ears with useless background noise.
Yeah, coming off of the Xbox 360 Red Ring of Death, they overcompensated, which I was fine with. They wanted that thing to be the central hub for people's living rooms, and they wanted it to blend in. So it looked kind of like a cable box or whatever. I get it. I didn't really have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with the PS5 looks. I didn't have a problem with the original PS3. It was heavy, and I thought it was sleek looking and looked cool too. So, shout out to the new member DW. Appreciate it. Anybody that wants to become a member, there's some cool little emotes and emojis and stuff like that you get, and some other little goodies as well. So really much appreciated. If you guys are just joining us, please hit the like button, share it out. Just recapping what we sort of already were talking about a little bit. A lot of influencers, Japanese influencers, released their YouTube videos actually showcasing PlayStation 5 gameplay, information, all that kind of stuff. So now the PlayStation 5, they're saying that the noise was quiet and it remained cold and cool after over 80 minutes of gameplay, which I think is good because check this out. The PS4 Pro didn't. Like the PS4 Pro pretty much went up. You know what I mean? Like the PS4 Pro would sit there and honestly have get hot and things like that's what mine sounded like anyway. Yeah. But the funny thing is, right? Like you would think, because some people go, well, why don't you just get a new one or just wait for the PS5? It's that there's a principle to that I have. You know what I mean? Like I hate having busted up stuff. Right. First of all, so the second thing is people are like, well, why not just get a new one? Believe it or not, that thing is hard to find. First of all, and second of all, there has been no price drop for it. It's still $399, right? It's like incredible to think that you still can't get this thing for a cheaper price. It's more expensive than the Xbox Series S, right? I mean, it's crazy. Right. It's crazy. Yeah. So that like a lot of people ask me that. Well, why don't you just get a new one, man? Well, first of all, I'm not made of money.
You're also a collector too. Crap. Yeah. You want to keep a PS4, I would assume. Even as are you trading your PS4 in?
No. Listen, I have a standard PS4 as well, but the problem is that's only 500 gig hard drive in it. That's like a launch one. Right. So it's not even a slim or anything. And I thought about hooking that up, but I was like, for me with my crappy internet to be able to download games, and you know what I'm saying, because I had that full terabyte taken up in the Pro, and then I also had an expandable storage that has games on there as well. So I might, like, what I would do is maybe hook up the Pro when I get it back in the living room and use, like, maybe have the VR hooked up out there as well. You know what I'm saying? So that I could do things a little bit differently, like, because again, you'll be able to sort of transfer, I'm guessing, saves. I mean, we can talk about that as well, but yeah, like, I'm very interested in, being able to transfer the saves and see how that works, because again, we haven't really heard from Sony about some of this stuff, and I do wish that we would have some of that news sooner rather than later. So I hope that we do get that information. Like, am I going to be able? Do I have to start all over? Like, let's say I can't get a PlayStation 4 Pro back in time to finish Ghost of Tsushima. I still have, maybe 3 or 4 hours left in that game. Now, is my save in the cloud? Am I going to be able to just put in my, download that game on my PS5 and pick up where I left off on the PS4 Pro?
You're right, Crap. Sony needs to address this, and they need to address that quickly, because that's a rumor that's out there that could be detrimental. Like you said, you're in an interesting situation with Ghost of Tsushima, so am I with that game. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't want to start that over on the PS5. But again, if I'm just using like logic, I don't understand why, if it's just a simple back compact game from PS4 to PS5, the cloud save would just move right over. So I don't understand why that would be an issue. That's not my, again, as the great Optimus Code said on Fridays, that's above my pay grade. I don't know what they're doing over there or why they can't do that. It doesn't seem like it would be that difficult with a simple back compact game, with you're just going to move the game, because it's all x86 architecture, all this great stuff. Everything moves with you moving forward. So if all these things are moving with you, I can't see them saying, hey, 99% of your PS4 library is coming with you, Crap, which is what Sony says, something of that measure, right? And then be like, oh, but by the way, you got to start all 99% of them over again, right? I mean, that doesn't seem to work. So I don't know. But if that's the case, they got to address it. They got to say, well, there's a fix in place or this and that, or it's a non-issue, which you're reading was on certain third-party developers, like we saw with Dirt 5, right, Crap? There's a couple of games out there that are saying that if you started on PS4, you wouldn't be able to bring it over to PS5.
Yakuza Like a Dragon, which by the way, I find that to be a little bit funny, okay? And I'll say why it's funny. Like, I got into that game a little bit late because it was they gave it away free, a couple of them on PlayStation Plus or something like that. So I was like, they're kind of Shenmue-esque to me, and I kind of like that, right? They're interesting.
Absolutely.
They're fun little like titles or whatever, and I enjoyed that. And then they brought them over to Xbox and put them in Game Pass or whatever. Cool. Grow your audience or whatever. I think that's great. But then Phil Spencer and company pay basically to keep it off of the PS5 for a few months. You know what I mean? I mean, that's business. I mean, I guess you can't really be mad, but it just is isn't that counterintuitive to what he's been saying for years, right? Like paying specifically to keep something away from somebody else. Like, again, and especially away from like the main audience. Like PlayStation is the main audience for Yakuza games. So realistic, I mean, you could get the game on PS4, but you just can't get the PS5 version. And if you do get it on PS4, your save files aren't going to carry over to the PS5. You're going to have to start all over again anyway. So you have that situation. Then you also have Maneater, which I know you were like, who cares? I actually like that game, but I have it on Xbox. I like
the game. It is fun. I have it on PlayStation. So I don't know what the situation is there, crap, but I don't know what. But these are random odd games, right? We're not hearing it from everybody. We're not hearing it from other developers. We're not hearing it from like Valhalla. Right, we're not hearing it from Assassin's Creed. We haven't heard it from other big AAA games that are launching. Call of Duty's got an unusual. Their situation is reversed, right? Where their issues with the Xbox One not shifting over to the Series X. So if it's a Call of Duty situation, and guys, it's been weeks since I looked at that article, so do forgive me here. I'm paraphrasing, but I thought if you bought the physical edition or the digital edition, it doesn't transfer over. Only if you have the physical edition with Xbox, or it's vice versa. But my point is, maybe these are deals. Maybe these are things where, why is it that Call of Duty can't do it for Xbox, and why is it Yakuza can't do it for PlayStation?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point because
right?
Yeah, it is. And then also, if you look at it, the way I understand it, Spider-Man, if you just say you have a disc version or you just play the digital version from 2018 in your PS5, your save files don't carry over either, or maybe that's wrong. Maybe if you were at a certain point in that, your save file won't carry over to the remaster. Maybe that's what they're saying. Like it's a little bit confusing.
Well, the thing about that is this. I think that your latter statement is correct. But I think the fact of the matter is, okay, so let's use games that we know, for example, The Last of Us Remastered, right? The Last of Us Remastered. When that came out on PS4, did your PS3, The Last of Us, did that save carry over? No. Like, all remasters, you start over again. That's why trophies are all available.
Yeah.
Like, everything's all available again. You start from the beginning. You're not supposed to bring your 2018 into the remaster. That's the point of the remaster is you play it again and it's like from scratch. And that's why the trophies are all there. That's why you can double down on trophies. Same thing with the achievements. Same thing goes for achievements on games in, like I said, Xbox 360, right? We had we had Halo 1, 2, 3, 4. But when Halo Master Chief Collection came out, how come our Halo 1, 2, 3, 4 saves didn't go into Master Chief Collection?
Yeah, right? You know what? That's a really good point as well.
Yeah, that's all I'm trying to say. And again, it's no damage control. I'm just saying the point of the remaster, whether we're talking about Master Chief Collection or we're talking about PS5 remastered Spider-Man, the point of it is to start over again, enjoy what they've brought to the new remaster, and get the double dip on your trophies and achievements depending on your game.
Shout out J-Dub. He tweeted something out and shared it in our DM. Apparently, Godfall was running at 4K 120 frames smoothly, and the video capture card couldn't keep up. It's kind of crazy that it was able, and this was something that made it into some of the forums and stuff. It says, we were able to try out this Godfall game using the PS5 at a resolution of native 4K with a refresh rate of 120 hertz. In this article, I'd like to tell you about the game evolution brought about by the PlayStation 5 and a unique action. The frame rate of the video was low, but it was due to the settings at the time of the capture, and during gameplay, it was running smoothly at 120 frames. So again, that's a translated text or whatever, because like I said, these are Japanese influencers. So again, Mooch, 4K 120 frames, like honestly, that to me is blowing my mind. I think for both of these consoles, right? Like, look, I'm not just saying one or the other. Like, I bought you suggested an OLED, and I got one with HDMI 2.1, and it has like VSync and all this stuff, so that I can take advantage of 4K and 120 frames and be able to, like, I know not every game is going to do that, but maybe, I could get back into Gears of War or let's say Call of Duty, right? That's going to be 120. Halo is going to be 120. So there's games out there that are going to support this. That racing games could be 120. So there's a lot of games out there that can actually support this. Hey, we're close to 800 viewers, man. That's crazy for a Sunday morning or afternoon, depending on where you're at. But yeah, please hit the like button. Let's get up over 300 likes. If we get the 400 likes today, I will go ahead and give away a PlayStation code and an Xbox code in the chat. At the end of the show. Yeah, I got 2 games, a PlayStation game and a Xbox game. I'm going to give them away. We get the 400 likes by the end of the show. I will give those out. I'll post them in the chat, and I'll give you a little bit of warning so you can, get your little things open and try it out. But yeah, other than that, no more games, because that doesn't work out well, Mooch. When we're like, guess the number. You know what I mean? And everybody's kind of going crazy. Yeah, guess the number, everybody.
5,000, go!
Yes, 1 in 5,000.
That didn't work out well.
Yeah, it didn't. So yeah, like I like giving away stuff, and I got a couple different stuff to give away. So yeah, guys, please do that, and please like it's Sir X-Man says, give it to Luca, and then he says, crap. Are you saying Phil is like Jekyll and Hyde? I'm saying Phil is he's a person that is learning on the job, to say it nicely. Okay, like Mooch, and this is not any kind of attack on, because I'm sure he's a nice guy. Absolutely. He came from running their game studios to being put in charge of all of Xbox, okay, and probably has a lot of mandates to boot, okay. Like I truly think that the reason that Xbox even still exists is because they tied it all into cloud and Azure and services. Like he made the pitch that games can be like a service like Netflix or whatever, and so that's what they're doing, and that's fine. It is like, and I try to tell people this, just because that's fine for Xbox doesn't mean that has to be fine for PlayStation. And I don't understand why people make fun of PlayStation for not doing like the same things. Like, oh, well, they need a Game Pass that's day and date. I don't like, Sony doesn't need to do that, because the Game Pass isn't really making Microsoft money. Okay. Right. The only thing that would do if Sony did that would cripple their income and their revenue and make it so they would possibly go under. Right. Like Microsoft is looking at years and years from being profitable with Game Pass. And I know what you're going to say. A lot of people will say, well, no, you're wrong about that. Listen, anything they do, like buying Bethesda for $7.5 billion, that directly affects Game Pass. Like you got to say they're in the hole $7.5 billion. And that's a move made for Game Pass. Just like Netflix sets aside $18 billion a year or whatever it is for shows, that directly comes out of their profit or whatever. You have to make that back. Okay. Right. So Netflix, you would think Netflix makes a ton of money. They don't. It was something like $2 billion in revenue. That's not really as much as you probably would think, right, Mooch? Like $2 billion last year. Like that's not a lot, considering that Sony PlayStation division made almost $6 billion last quarter alone. So again, it's a long game, and I respect that, and I get it, and it gives you options and things like that, and I think that it is a value. But to think that Sony has to do that too, I don't think that has to be the case, especially given that Microsoft uses a lot of multiplayer games, right? A lot of microtransactions, a lot of games as a service stuff, and that's not Sony's bag. Sony's is these incredible first party, like single player exclusive.
There is another situation though, Crap, and I do agree with you. I'm about 90% agreeing with you.
Yeah.
The only thing I've got to leave that 10% caveat out there for, Crap, is this. So as Microsoft continues to buy developers, continues to buy IP, continues to buy publishers, right? Developers.
Yeah. The developers,
is what I would do if I'm now sitting on the Sony side and I'm thinking here, okay, do we need to respond to a $7.5 billion deal? First of all, they probably can't. Second of all, no, they don't need to do that. Here's where the issue comes up. If Microsoft continues to do what they're doing, they're going to scoop up a lot of the talent. Okay. And this is something that we didn't get a chance to talk to on Crossfire, but I really wanted to get to this point. There's a reason the XFL didn't make it. Okay. Because everyone's like, well, there's plenty of talent out there. There's a reason the NFL is the NFL, and people work so hard from such a young age to get into the NFL, Crap. It's because that's where the talent goes. Okay, so when you say, well, I'll just rival the NFL, I'll have the XFL with another guy who's got tons of money to be able to do it, and it didn't work because the talent wasn't there. My point is this. Sony does have to respond. Do they have to respond with $7.5 billion purchase? No. But a remedy or locking down or buying IP from Konami or doing certain moves that entrust that IP or development, okay, whether it be developers or studios or both, everything comes with them. They need to do a couple of smaller transactions and get those kinds of moves made like they did with Insomniac. Insomniac was an unbelievable buy. You can almost argue, okay, they don't have the IP because Sony owned the IP, but the development crew that's coming over in Insomniac rivals a lot of like id, right, and Arcane and Bethesda. Like there's certain, because you even shout out to Jeff Grubb, who was on Crossfire. Jeff had even said some of these studios that were under Bethesda, they were in trouble to a certain extent, right? He said in future years, they could have either started to have layoffs or closed studios entirely. So Microsoft grabbing them and doing this with ZeniMax, this was a great deal for everybody involved on that deal front. So this is something I think Sony does need to respond in small pieces. Right away, freak out? No. But they're going to need to pick up some IP. They're going to need to talk to people, the companies such as Konami or Sega, or see what they can do and lock down something, maybe Remedy, and bring over some talent that can put 2 games out per that are really, really good at what they do. They're finesse type of developers and lock in those smaller ones. There's also a rumor out that they may already have a deal with Bluepoint. That's a huge get. That's a huge get if that's true.
It is, because those guys do really good work. And the interesting thing is that I kind of wanted to switch to was there's a lot of rumors going around, and I wanted to cover this because Michael Pachter was actually saying some interesting things about it. He said Sony's in a good position to buy Warner Brothers, and he said that buying Metal Gear Solid IP wouldn't really be worth it without Kojima, which is very interesting as well. So according to Michael Pachter, interestingly enough, should AT&T choose to sell the WB Games division in the future after recently deciding against it, following reports that those assets were indeed up for sale, that Sony could be in a good position to tap up those assets and licenses, and that IP such as Batman and Mortal Kombat could fit very well with their first-party portfolio, though he expects that in all likeliness, Sony's acquisitions will continue to be really smaller along the lines of last year's Insomniac Games deal.
Right,
he says,
I didn't even read this article. Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. He says their acquisitions have been smaller, like Insomniac Games, and those are the kinds of acquisitions that I would expect. I do think Sony is in a good position to buy Warner Brothers interactive assets should they ever go on sale again, depending on whether AT&T chooses to sell them and how. If they just want to license their IP out, they will probably not go with exclusivity deals because they want those games. They don't want those games to be limited to just one platform. But if they do sell perpetual rights to Batman or Mortal Kombat, I think those assets would be pretty cool for Sony to fold into their lineup. They already did it with Spider-Man, so we know they would be interested in something like that. I really hadn't considered this scenario since we had heard WB was off the table. But now that the Bethesda just got bought for $7.5 billion, you have to think AT&T are thinking, could we get $7 billion? Of course, some have speculated that rather than tapping in up publishers, Sony could purchase individual third-party IP like Metal Gear or Final Fantasy. But he says with Metal Gear, without Kojima, it might not be worth it. And Final Fantasy.
Why not? Crap, why not pick up Kojima Productions? I mean, Kojima just opened, right? Their first deal together being Death Stranding, which you can go ahead and say it wasn't a monstrous hit, but it definitely did well. It did okay. So, I mean, and you can see the talent that he put together in the game that he put out with the stardom. You know, he had, oh God, now I'm going to forget his name from The Walking Dead there, but what's his name there?
Daryl.
Norman Reedus.
Norman Reedus. Yes, thank you, Nova.
Right? And thank you, Nova. A bunch of different actors in there. He's got a great Hollywood connection. Why not lock that down and get Kojima Productions and then lock down a Metal Gear Solid? But I think they'd have to almost lock down the Metal Gear Solid 5 first from Konami. They'd have to lock that down first because I think Konami and Kojima are probably still not the best of friends. I guess we'll leave it like that. So if Sony did acquire Kojima Productions first, I could see Konami being like, you're not taking that IP because I know exactly what you're doing with it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that would be like the perfect instance of, exactly what kind of would happen, though. I mean, listen, for Metal Gear to be what it was, I think you got to have Kojima on board. I mean, he's the guy behind it. You know what I'm saying? So the fact of the matter is, the ones where he was involved more so were the better ones. Like if you look at 5, that's probably one of my least favorite because first of all, it's not exactly how it should have been. You had to like get the story by finding cassettes and things like that. Like that opening part was awesome. But then I feel like if you thought the whole game was going to be like that, you were going to end up being let down. So yeah, that's like the first Metal Gear game that I didn't even bother beating.
Another thing
which is
that game's not even finished. I got the collector's edition, and people found this out really shortly after launch, because the collector's edition came in with a Blu-ray, right? And it was a special edition Blu-ray. Had the rumored Mission 51, which there's a whole missing chapter from the game, and they're saying that wasn't included in the game, and Kojima had to wrap it up nicely at the end of Act 2, just because they wanted to get Kojima the hell up out of there. I mean, we all know before the release of the game, he was already technically out of Konami. He had packed up, and then I think like a day after the game dropped is when he formally left Konami. But I agree with you. As a huge Metal Gear fan, and me knowing a lot of Metal Gear fans, it just wouldn't be the same without Kojima's involvement to some degree, or at least his okay, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly my point, man. That's kind of what I'm saying. Like, this guy is sort of like, that's his baby or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, the whole reason I bought a PS3 when I did was because Metal Gear Solid 4.
Yep.
Right. Guns at the, like, that game was something that I didn't want to be without. Sir X-Man says, crap. Phil put mayo on the Series X just for you. Man, I don't know if that's going to be the case. DW says Guerrilla Games and Kojima Productions already sharing game engines, and Kojima has already stated he's a Sony guy because they allow creative freedom and aren't scandalous like Microsoft. No need to buy them. I mean, you could be right. I feel like if they did come out with something like a new Metal Gear, that would be huge, but I think you would be years away from that. Have they been teasing maybe a what the hell's that game that he came out with, Mooch? You know the one I'm talking, the walking simulator, Death Stranding.
Oh, Death Stranding, yeah.
Yeah, like, haven't they been teasing Death Stranding 2 a little bit or something?
So
I don't know if they're actually teasing that. I mean, the game, like I said, I like the game, and I got on PS4. I probably got about 3/4 of the way through the game.
Yeah.
But I definitely didn't finish it yet, which is shame on me. And I'll only be honest with you, it's just it's so. Depending on how you play that game, you could race through it pretty quickly, I think, if you wanted to just keep doing the main missions. But I literally spent, this is my fault. I don't recommend this. I literally spent like 10 to 12 hours doing all the standby missions, all the standard missions, the smaller chase things all over the map. And don't get me wrong, I think in certain aspects, it's given me enough gear to where I can take on anything because I did so many side quests. But like, I probably should have focused a little bit more. I kind of burnt myself out on the game because I did so many of those side quests. But yeah, I don't know if they're in talks to make another one because I don't know how the PC sales. I heard that those were moderate. So I heard that it sold over 1 million on PC, but that may not have been the target that they wanted. They wanted to see more come out of the PC sale. Nova, do you have more on that?
Yeah. So when it came to game sales, there was an interview with Kojima where he did say that it didn't sell as good as they were hoping for, but they did break even and then some, and that things are looking good for the next title, but they didn't specify whether this would be another, partnership between Kojima Productions and Sony or Death Stranding Part 2. I'm almost more inclined to think that it would be a different project and they would put that game on ice. And Mooch, I do recommend, if you already went that far, finish the game.
Finish it up.
The ending is worth it.
I know. I've been told that it's an amazing ending, and and it's like I know enough about the story. I don't feel like I'm lost in it. I could definitely jump back
Hollywood
in. Maybe
ending.
that is something I would do.
Yeah, it's good.
They're so unique. You know what I mean? His stuff. I mean, some people don't like it or whatever, but I actually love the storytelling and stuff like that. I thought.
Speaking of that crap, are you excited about the rumor? It's still a rumor, right? We haven't heard anything since the past 2 weeks that went by, but there was a rumor that the Metal Gear Solid remake or remaster, I don't know if it's a remake or a remaster, was being done exclusively for PlayStation consoles. I think it'll also come to PC.
Yeah, the PlayStation 1. The original.
That would be great.
I'd like to see that because someone like myself that dabbled with that ages ago, and I'm not as super fan like Nova, like I would like to kind of get back into it. And if they remastered 1, 2, 3, they kind of got some of the early ones back into a viewable state that we're all used to now, I think that could really give that that title, that Metal Gear franchise, a real good B12 shot and give it a chance to kind of resurge and get a chance going into this generation for a new title.
I need a B12 shot. Come on.
Who doesn't need a B12 shot? They're great.
I'm dragging off here. Hey, let's get up over 300 likes. We've got a lot of people watching, man. It was over 800 a second ago. Let's get up over 300. Like I said, if we can get to 400 by the end of the show, I got a PlayStation game and an Xbox game that I can give away in the chat. So yeah, Death Stranding. Sorry, like sometimes in the mornings, I know it's afternoon now, but where I'm at, but it takes a while to get going. You know what I mean? It does. You know what I mean? Like it does. But I also wanted to talk about the Xbox influencers as well, because we talked about the PlayStation 5 influencers. They all seem to love the PlayStation 5. We saw some gameplay. It looks like that's going to exceed expectations. We saw some pictures of this thing. It's not this giant building of a console that people make it out to be. No. But this past week, Mooch, we saw a lot of influencers showcasing the Xbox Series X. Yeah. Again, it was old games. Like they showed old games.
They didn't have anything new to debut, so when they were talking about it, you almost felt like they were kind of looking for something to discuss, and it was I don't know.
And the actual, even the backwards compatibility list wasn't all available. What's going to be there at launch, I guess. Like they were only able to do like 500 games or access those games, because a lot of people were like, well, what about Grand Theft Auto? What about this? What about that? So it's basically all the influencers could talk about was, wow, look how fast we can go between games with instant resume. And look how fast this old game loads up versus the old hardware. I mean, stuff that's pretty obvious, right? So I got to say this and point this out too. So games that are from current gen that have an uncapped frame rate and that have dynamic resolution on them, they don't even need a boost on the Xbox Series X or the PlayStation 5. The newer hardware will just automatically take those to the max. So if you have an uncapped frame rate, say a Sekiro, like you were talking about, that game was uncapped frame rate, so it'll beat 60. Or pretty, it'd be 60 on PS5 or on Xbox Series X, and the dynamic resolution in that would mean that it would go up to 4K, I guess, if it was dynamic. So, again, that's going to happen on both consoles without having to touch any coding whatsoever or anything like that. So I thought it was cool. Hey, they're showcasing these older games and stuff, but I just thought it was a little bit crazy because there's never been a time in my life, and I've been gaming since like 1985, 1986, where people were upgrading their console, getting a new console to play old games, right? Like I've never heard that argument before. Like, okay, backwards compatibility, cool. It's a little checkpoint, but have you ever seen the way that people are just like going crazy for backwards compatibility? Like, have you ever seen anything like that where like, it's just like the main selling point for people? I've never thought I would experience that.
No, and that's one of the things I said. It's just, it's surreal to see everyone so excited about that. I think that when you talk about the efforts that Xbox is putting into backwards compatibility, I think it's awesome. I really do. I think it's all great. I think the fast resume, that's a lot of these features that you're seeing with Xbox are also on PlayStation as far as the fast resume and all that. I think that's all going to be on both consoles. But the thing that's alarming, and that's the thing that's different about giving it to the journalists, where now this generation they're giving it to the influencers. And guys, please do, if there is one that I can see on PlayStation 5 or on Xbox Series X, please on Twitter just tweet it out to me, the link on YouTube. I'd love to watch it. I haven't seen anybody do anything negative, right? Nobody says that everything's great. Yeah, everything's great. Everything's so great. It's great. And then they ended. They're like, well, we didn't have any new games to show you, but from what we saw, the Hitman collection looks great. It's like, okay, great. Nobody cares. Like, nobody cares about how Hitman is doing on frames. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think that's a big deal moving into. We know that both consoles are going to do a really good job of bringing older games up to what we're expecting. But I wanted to see something new. I want to see what the console can do. What can the Xbox Series X do for me on November 10th that my Xbox One X can't do besides play old games?
Yeah.
Okay, because we're past that. I got it. It plays older games. I'm psyched. I like that. I can't wait to play Sekiro in 60 frames on my Xbox Series X. That's the truth. But tell me, what else am I excited for? And every time I have this conversation with somebody, I'm like, besides an old game that you can't wait to see in 60 frames, okay, besides that, what are you doing with your Xbox Series X on launch day? And they're like, everybody's kind of tongue-tied. It's like, well, I don't like Godfall. Well, that's what I didn't ask you that. Like the minute they're like, well, I don't like anything PlayStation's having come out first party or third party deals. I don't like it anyways, so it doesn't matter. But it does matter, right? I mean, what console launch have we ever gone into where it's like I can't, like when you went and got your Super Nintendo, right? If you're that old, or if you remember you're going to get your PlayStation 2. When you went and got your PlayStation 2, were you excited to get home and play a PlayStation 1 game?
No.
Like what? Like I don't understand. So that's the narrative going forward. So I was kind of looking forward to seeing how the influencers would handle the Xbox Series X in their hands and tell us, like they showed us the quick resume. That's cool. They did what they could with the box. But the problem is that like when you see an influencer or a journalist get their hands on next gen tech, I want to see what does that tech do with new games that old technology couldn't do. And we haven't seen anything new games related on the Series X, and no one's really talking about it on the other side. And I don't understand. I don't get that. I think that if this was reversed and Sony was this far along and you'd see nothing on the PlayStation 5 at all. Oh my God, there'd be such an uproar. And don't get me wrong, rightfully so.
Yeah.
Rightfully so. I would be right there saying this. I'd be like, wait a minute, we got a problem here, Houston. Okay? There's a big time problem. I'm about to go put down $500 in 5 weeks, and I don't really know, besides the old games I'm playing currently at a slightly better frame rate, like what is it that I'm actually getting? You know, I always hear people say, I'm going to wait. I'll spend money next generation later once I see the games that are coming out. But I'm seeing a lot of people excited for the Xbox Series X, which, by the way, great. I have one. I'm going to get one because, you know, if you can't really be on podcasts, you can't really discuss things if you don't know, right? So I'm getting one because I've got a ton of Xbox games. I am excited to see the fast resume. I am excited to see older games playing at higher frame rates, absolutely. And I have friends on the Xbox ecosystem that I love the game with. I get that. So if that's enough for me, that may be enough for you. But just for generality and for discussion purposes on podcasting, I'm shocked more people aren't a bit concerned. We haven't seen anything on the Xbox Series X. And crap, you've said that maybe the SDKs for the dev kits are coming in hot.
Yeah, that was Richard, Mr. Ledbetter had sort of mentioned that, right? He said that that's what he had heard, that the SDKs and XDKs or whatever weren't as mature. But we've been hearing that for a while, haven't we, Mooch? That the were more mature on the PlayStation 5 side, and that Sony was giving people access to the dev kits well before Microsoft was giving people access to it. I guess Microsoft really wanted to keep their power thing a surprise, I guess. Which I think is fine. Like, listen, I think it's cool that they were able to showcase this stuff. And who knows, maybe this upcoming week, it's all about the new games and stuff like that. And I think that would be fine. But at the same time, I feel like, show off something new, right? Something new, like whether it be Assassin's Creed, like why not show off? I get it. They don't have any new games themselves, right? But show off Assassin's Creed or Watch Dogs running on it. Or why is there no gameplay footage of new games, next-gen games on this thing out yet? We are, what are we, 4 weeks away from launch, 4.5 weeks, What's up, guys, in the chat? Hey, I see everybody. DW says, can anyone honestly say they have no interest in either Spider-Man, Demon's Souls, Godfall, or Pathless? I can't believe that. Listen, I think there's something for everybody on the PlayStation side. Like, I'm not a Demon's Souls fan, but Mooch, I see people going crazy for this game. It might be the best looking next-gen game we've seen so far. I understand that it's a quote-unquote remake, but, a complete remake that looks great, I think. It's not my type of game, but, people are going nuts for this game. So I think that that's going to be, something that a lot of people pick up.
Well, there's a lot. And crap, just let me give you a bit of a description there with Demon's Souls. So Demon's Souls originally came out on the PS3, right? So it's completely remade from the ground up, as you can see by Blue Point. And this is a game that's interesting because, yes, it's an older game. However, it's completely built up. And a lot of people in the Souls family, a lot of people never played Demon's Souls. They never played this game, me being one of them. So, and I've spoke to many people that are in the Souls community, especially after just Platinum Bloodborne. I've met so many people that have come out. What an unbelievable gaming community out there. Crap, it's unbelievable. And Twitch is unlike YouTube. It's very, very difficult to get an audience over there, and we were getting anywhere from 25 to 35 viewers just when I was doing a 25-part playthrough of Bloodborne. that is an unbelievable audience to keep day in and day out over the course of those videos. And just to go a step further here, there's so much lore, there's so much story, there's so much history when it comes to this game. And listen, if you're not a Souls fan right now in the audience, you're like, well, Mooch, you're full of it. I don't like those games. I'm not selling you on the game. I'm just telling you that this was another very strategic move, Crap. Right? Yeah. This is a very strategic move. You've got 2 games coming out, one being Spider-Man Miles Morales with a Spider-Man remaster. Hear me out. Probably the number 1 or number 2 top-selling game for Sony this generation. Okay, which also, by the way, Marvel's never been hotter. Marvel has never been hotter, right?
That's true. Yeah.
So you put Spider-Man out there, boom, immediately you've got an unbelievable crowd that's interested. Now you take the hardcore gaming circle, okay? That's the Spider-Man kind of hits the hardcore and the casual market. Now you also take the hardcore market that is absolutely in love with Dark Souls, Bloodborne, games that have spawned off of Souls, like Neo, Code Vein, okay? Salt and Sanctuary. These are all Souls types games that have developed because of the Souls series. And the Souls series began with Demon Souls, as far as I know. Guys, if I'm wrong, please do correct me.
You're right, Mooch. You're right.
Right? This is an unbelievable game, Crap, that, again, I'm not telling you. If you don't like it, you don't like it. That's fine. But I'm just saying to you, do you see how Sony came into this generation? They came ready to attack with games, and not just any games. Like last generation, they had Resogun, and they had
Killzone Shadowfall,
Knack, and Shadowfall,
and that's it.
Which, sorry, listen, and look how great the PS4 did at launch. Now you've got Spider-Man Remastered, Spider-Man Miles Morales, Demon Souls. Okay, I don't know if that the Sackboy game's coming out or not, but you also got Godfall. I understand that's not first party, but they came prepared. That's quite a lineup when you're walking out of GameStop or Walmart or Target this upcoming November. That's a big deal. Now, again, it goes back to my earlier comments when I said, listen, if you're excited for your Series X, to a certain extent, I really am too, because I want to play some of the games in higher fidelity. Absolutely. But long story longer here is just the fact that, right, the Xbox Series X, when you leave on November 10th, I question everybody so many times on Twitter. I don't really get a good response. I say, so what is it you're going to play when you get home? Someone will say, well, I can't wait to play Left 4 Dead in 4K. I can't wait to play Gears 5 at 120 frames, right? That's great. But realistically,
let's load it up, Mooch. I can't wait.
Yeah, let's put up Left 4 Dead 2 in 4K, 120 frames, Crap. It's going to be great. No, not really. Not really. Yeah. Nostalgia is a hell of a drug. And the reason I say that is it's something that you think is so amazing, but you're like, I already played this. I already beat it, you know?
Yeah.
So
I mean, again, you have to remember when we play games or when I because people still give me hell because I reviewed Halo 5 really well. And I tell people, that's a snapshot into a particular point in time. Okay, you can't really go off of that and go, oh, well, does it hold up now? Listen, Rise Son of Rome I liked a lot back then, but it doesn't hold up now. Halo 5 doesn't hold up to the other Halos, and now once you're past that initial sort of honeymoon phase with the game, you can sort of see that, you know what I mean? You can call out the flaws a little bit differently. Wooly Gamer says Demon Souls at 60 frames, 1440p with ray tracing reflections equals nuts. I agree, it looks great. Like, I always thought it was funny the way people were kind of down-talking the game, pretending like it wasn't a good enough because it was 1440p. Like, give me a break. I Miss Baseball says, Mooch, you better stream Demon Souls. Can't wait. You're going to have to stream that, Mooch.
I am. That's a done deal. That's a done deal.
You're going to have to do it. Everybody hit the like button as you guys get in here. At 400 likes, I'm going to give away some games, a PlayStation game and an Xbox game at the end of the chat, at the end of the show. So, just be aware of that. Then in terms of what the influencers were able to, talk about with the Xbox Series X, I thought some of it was okay, and some of it was just, more kind of nonsense or whatever. So the impressions, near instant boot, greatly reduced loading time, improved frame rates, and more. Jeff Grubb talks about some of the aspects of the console, including the general experience that it offers, the new quick resume features, and how it handles current-gen titles. His general takeaway is that Microsoft's next-gen console instantly improves the quality of many current-gen titles, but my overall takeaway is that Xbox Series X should improve any of the games in your library. However, many games that have locked frame rates or resolutions won't see much of an improvement to traditional rendering. They will, however, see improvement like machine-created HDR. In addition to game quality and frame rates for titles that support unlocked frame rates, The next-gen solid-state drive inside Microsoft consoles offers a nearly instant boot, greatly reduced loading times, and a much more speedy interface. Now, here's the thing, Mooch. You have to have those old games installed on the new hard drive for that to actually be the case. Like, are you going to want to take up hard drive space for old games? It seems like it's already limited space, and it's $220 to get the expansion, and it's only a 1 terabyte expansion. So, are you really going to, like, for me, I like the idea that you can still use your 3.0s and just because he did the test with them and was like, I guess you could move like Assassin's Creed, which is a large game file size, in 10 minutes. So he was able to move that from a standard.
Well, answer me this crap. I thought, and guys, if I'm wrong, please do tell me. I was under the impression with older games, like let's just say Assassin's Creed Odyssey, right? I was told that we would be able to keep that on our 3.0 hard drives that we have externally, and then the Series X, and I believe even the PS5 will play older games off of the external. You don't even have to bring them over onto the Series X if it's an older game you're playing.
Yeah, you can play last gen games and stuff.
For the Series X, that's what you're gonna have initially.
Yeah. So basically, that would be the current stuff, right? You can play that off of that, but you're not going to get any of the solid state drive enhancements and stuff like that.
Okay. So in order to take advantage of whatever Microsoft or Sony are doing with older games, you will have to move them over onto your hard drive, which is your internal, which is about a 10-minute, right? Probably 10 minutes or less. For big games. For big games. For smaller games, much faster.
Yeah, which is really good because I know, like, when I was moving stuff around, because I bought expansion stuff for my PS4 Pro, because for some reason, like, it was always trying to install stuff onto the internal hard drive instead of the external. So finally I fixed that. But anyway, so I had to move stuff from the internal to the external to free up space, and it took forever. You know what I'm saying? Like 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour to move a decent sized game. So yeah, I would just leave that on and kind of go back to it. But it sounds like it's going to be much faster on the Xbox Series X as well as the PlayStation 5 as well, which I think would be, that's going to be much more ideal. He says, while the internal Xbox Series X solid state drive offers the best experience, booting games from external USB also offers great results, such as an external solid state drive. So he was also testing out external solid state drives as well. Thanks to Velocity Architecture, Mooch, a USB solid state drive is significantly faster than a USB hard drive. So the bottleneck is now the USB connection and not any of the I/O throughput inside. So basically, you can still use external solid state drive as well to store some stuff on. So that would be good as well. So again, it says,
I have an external 2 terabyte for my PS4 Pro, and then I have 2 over the years I bought this for Xbox. I have a 3 terabyte, and then I have an 8 terabyte external.
Yeah, I have 16 terabytes of external for the Xbox and 4 for the PlayStation.
Yeah, so I mean, that's what I'm trying to say. My point here is that, especially for both consoles, we're fine. I don't think. Listen, you'll never hear me say in the first 6 months of this console generation, maybe not even the first year, you won't need to go spend that extra $220 on either console's extra SSD slot storage capacity. You don't need that, I don't think, right off the bat, because I mean, you'll be able to beat games and then play them as they kind of come out, and then like erase them from your heart or move them over to your external, because majority of people have external for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One right now.
Exactly. So you got a little bit of time to sort of to work that out. And I think one of the main reasons why you're going to have to work that out is because, believe it or not, like I think, what is the OS take 200 up off the Xbox Series X, right? So you're not getting 1,000, you're getting 800 or something like that.
It's 804, and they haven't. Guys, if something came out today, please let me know. Crap, if you saw it, or Nova, if you saw it, or anyone in the chat. But the rumor was that the PlayStation will be somewhere around 664.
Yeah.
Which is, again, 664, 805. You know what I mean? Like, you're talking about maybe another. If you're talking a AAA big game, maybe like a Far Cry 6, or you're talking about a Call of Duty game, which is 100 gigs. You're talking about a game and a half more on the Xbox that can fit on there. Smaller games, maybe you can fit, if they're 30, 40 gigs, you can get, a few more on there. So it's you can get anywhere from 3 to 5 games more on. But again, you're kind of splitting hairs, aren't you? Like, at that point, that's not like 20 games more. It's 3 games. It could be 2 games if they're big games, So I don't. in the end, you're either going to have to delete when you're done or move it over. You're splitting hairs there. Everybody wants to hear me say it, so I'll say it. The Xbox One is the Xbox Series X is better in that case. Absolutely. Sony should have put a larger hard drive in there. I don't know why.
They put the one in there. It's that number. It has something to do with the IO or something like that.
Right.
Like
There's a reason
they didn't, or something. Yeah, it was like that was the one that they could put in there. So that's why. But again, if you look at what they're doing, it's much faster than what Xbox has. But again, it has a little bit less space. But when you're arguing 130 gigs of space, is it really that big of a deal? I don't think so. Like if you're a hardcore gamer, you're going to have to get the expanded storage anyway at some point, right? Like regardless,
Absolutely.
so you're realistically, you're arguing that you might be able to game an extra week. You know what I'm saying? That somebody else, like I don't understand it. It's like the same people that are like console wars are silly. It's a grown men and, active console wars is, we got an extra 130 gigs of space. You know what I mean? Like those people are the ones that just sort of blow my mind. It's that same thing. Like I thought that the ridiculousness took sort of a new low this past gen when people were talking about foliage in Grand Theft Auto 5. Remember that? Like more grass. Yeah. Like to me, I thought that was like an April Fool's joke or something. Right. No. Like that was legit. People literally do that. And I'm here for it. I love console wars. Keep it clean, keep it respectful. Like just like football, man. All day I'll talk trash to a Steelers fan or a Browns fan or a Bengals fan or a Patriots fan. Like all day, it doesn't matter to me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's the same thing with consoles. I love it, man. You get into there, but it's the people that act that they're above it, but they're the ones that are driving it themselves harder than anybody else. That's sort of like the thing that sort of is a little bit grating to me personally. But at the same time, I feel like why argue over something as silly as 130 gig difference? You know what I'm saying? Like argue like is the performance going to be that much better on the PlayStation 5? That'd be something worth, I think, talking about, right? If you're instant loading on stuff, like some of the load times on the older stuff, I get it, those weren't optimized, but the games that we've seen so far on the PlayStation 5, apparently Godfall, instant loading times, right? Astro's Playroom, instant loading times. Apparently, almost pretty much instant loading times on Spider-Man, Ratchet and Clank. Like you're talking instant loading times on these games. That's incredible. That's right. Like, I cannot believe that we're like going to be able to get that. And I get it, man. They went out and they did something that's probably going to be, a little bit costlier than, some of the other things. But I still think that it's still an incredible feat for these companies to be able to go out there and do that, and again, bravo to the companies that were able to do that. Like Sony, they might not have the most powerful console, quote unquote, but we've been hearing it for a long time now that they have like the well-rounded console, right? The most well-rounded console.
And listen, I usually make a food analogy here, but I'll actually switch over to cars for a second. There's a lot of great just straight racing cars crap with amazing horsepower, 600 horsepower, 700 horsepower, and in a straight line, it'll absolutely destroy a lot of some of the sports cars that you see that take turns better, right? So they say this all the time. So you take like a BMW versus like a Corvette, right? I believe in straight, depends on which BMW you're talking about. Yeah. So let's say even Steven with horsepower. A lot of times the Corvette will win in a blowout race moving forward if it's just a straight shot, because that's what it's built to do. That reminds me a lot of the Xbox Series X. It's kind of like that really over-the-top horsepower in a straight line. It's going to blow the competition away. The absolute second you put a 45-degree, like kind of a beveled turn into the course, that Corvette goes sliding off the course, and the BMW sticks the road and maintains an unbelievable speed as it grips the road and hugs that turn. So a lot of times when you hear Ledbetter from Digital Foundry discuss these things, and he just said it in that tweet that went viral last week about his opinion on certain PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X rumors, is he says on paper, the Xbox Series, and I'm paraphrasing, the Xbox Series X is quite impressive as far as power, but he goes, the way that the machine was actually engineered and designed on the PlayStation 5 side, he says it's yet to be known, but it could absolutely marvel, and it could be an unbelievable feat that they put together. And now you've heard Tim Sweeney say that, you've heard Digital Foundry say that, now you've heard other developers come out and say that the PlayStation 5's design is really something amazing. Again, am I saying that? No, I'm saying this is what you're hearing in the industry. And typically, if you have happy developers, what did we learn from this generation, guys? If you have happy developers, you have great looking games, and you have games that come out first and foremost on your platform, and you're the lead console platform they designed for, and that's just the way it is in the business. That's what I've learned over this generation, and the PS4 was very easy to develop for, much more than the Xbox One crap. And I'm hearing the same thing now from developers from Digital Foundry, saying that developers are extremely pleased with what they're finding out with the PS5 and how to develop for it. A much easier transition at this point. Of course, SDKs and things aren't fully out yet for the Xbox Series X, but it'll be interesting as the first months come through, how they respond to developing and all the rumors that start to leak out from the Xbox camp.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be very interesting to see how, what people have to say about it. Like, I get it, man. Like, people are excited about all different things, and I like that. I think that it's really, that's what makes gaming great. Like, there's usually something for everybody, and now we sort of see how people are reacting to the different news about the Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5. But, me and you both have that same kind of line of thinking with that whole keep that same energy stuff. Like, that's like our least favorite thing to hear. But it is funny to hear that people don't really keep that same energy where it's concerned. It's like, hey, we haven't seen an actual PlayStation 5. Let's talk that up, but then we haven't seen anything new running on the Xbox Series X.
Right.
So let's not talk about that at all. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like, so I think that is kind of funny. But again, just going back to the hard drive space, the one that we haven't heard so far, even rumored, is what's going to be left on the Series S after it's all said and done. You know what I mean? Because even though people might try to damage control that and go, well, they wouldn't need as big a sizes. The size of Warzone on an Xbox One S is the same as One X. So, I mean, you can't imagine they're going to be that much smaller to begin with. And if you take away 200 off of that, you're looking at just like 300 gigs.
Isn't it funny though, Crap? Kind of a discussion piece here is after the pre-orders all went live for PlayStation and Xbox, and there was all that talk about Series S is going to be the best thing since sliced bread. I'll be honest with you. So while I waited in line for my Xbox Series X, there was you guys saw I tweeted out the picture. There was 7 Series X's on the day of launch to get, and there was 2 Series S's, and we had people walking up in line. And they're like, "Oh, are there any X's left?" And they're like, "No, you can see there's more than 7 people already in line. They're waiting, but there's only 7 available." They're like, but they're like, nobody in line really wants an S. They're like, nah, I'm good. And they got in the car and they left. And then you saw people report on Twitter and on YouTube saying that there's Xbox Series S's that were available for pre-order that didn't sell out instantly.
Yeah.
Because again, I see a lot of people, the hype for the S seems to have dwindled a bit. I don't hear people talking about it anymore. Now it's back to just the Series X and the PS5 again, which rightfully so, how it should be. But, I saw you kind of having a bit of a back and forth since we're talking about hard drive space and SSD capacity. The Xbox Series S is starting at 512, right? So after that thing is reduced, after the OS is implanted on it, what are we talking about there, Crap? Are we talking about 300 and something?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So now you load up Warzone, Gears 5, and Halo. You're out.
Yeah, it could be 312, 305 or something.
No one's talking about that. So the Series S really, you want to say, I think with the Xbox Series X and the PS5, you could, if you don't want to, don't. But you could wait till next Christmas, 2021, to go ahead and buy the consoles this Christmas, and then next holiday you buy the SSD externals for both consoles next year, kind of offset costs.
Yeah.
But with the S, I don't think that's the case, Crap. And you've made this case on Twitter many a times. If you're buying an Xbox Series S for $299, I think you got to go get that $220 external port day one, or extremely close to day one, maybe January, maybe right after Christmas. You can't wait long with only 300 and something on the hard drive. That's not what the games that we're playing this generation, even end of this generation that we're in right now. Like you said, Odyssey's quite a download. So is Warzone, for example.
Yeah. Again, and even some of the free, like Warzone's free, Fortnite's free, Apex Legends is free. These are games that are going to take up significant space. So it is like I said, it's going to be, people are going to have to be crafty. It does, like I said, remind me a little bit of the Xbox 360 with the arcade, how a lot of people bought that and then they didn't realize, like, hey, I got to get a hard drive for it. So D-Books12 said, I think Sony will surprise a lot of people with solid state drive compression tech, not even including OODL. File sizes may be way smaller than we think. Yeah, so again, like that oodle stuff could come into play. Like, okay, so apparently with the next gen stuff, like trees, you don't have to duplicate the trees, right? Like in the file size on an Xbox or PlayStation that we have now, you have to duplicate the trees or whatever in the file size. You don't have to do that in like the next generation stuff. So yeah, that could be a little bit interesting to see how much they can compress the games themselves. And we can see how that kind of works out. Everybody, how you guys, joining us. We almost, wow, it was like almost 8:40, 8:50 for a morning show, man. That ain't too bad, man.
That's crazy.
That's pretty good. Hit the like button, guys. Let's get up to over 400, and then I'll give away a PlayStation and an Xbox game at the end of the show.
I just want to mention one thing, Crap. The Series S is still available on Amazon UK. So if anyone's looking to get that, it's completely available.
There you go. Yeah, still available.
That's what
still
I'm saying.
available.
Like, there was just a lot of people that came in line. They're like, I don't want the S. I'm here for the X.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, I've been saying this for a long time. I'm not saying, listen, I'm sure there's going to be decent numbers out there. I really do. So I think there's going to be decent numbers out there. But I don't know who the S is necessarily for. And I know people say casual, but like I said, we all have casual friends, right? Not everybody listens to podcasts.
Yeah.
Not everybody games every day, right? That we know. We know people that just play Madden, just play Call of Duty, just play NBA 2K. I have friends that play only 2K. And I got news for you. Neither of those two of my very good friends that only play NBA 2K and Call of Duty, neither of them have said, I'm looking at the Xbox Series S. They're right now in the market for a Series X or a PS5. That's it.
Yeah. Because it doesn't make as much sense, right?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it doesn't make much sense because at the end of the day, those people realize that the end cost is actually more than if you were to just get the X. So and you get so much more of a console because the Series X is like more than twice the power of the S. So you know what I mean? Like people know value even at a more expensive price, and that's something that you got to give people some credit for that. I do anyway. I think that's a pretty good thing that people were able to sort of catch that and sort of see exactly what's going on there. So yeah, that's pretty awesome to see. And I got to say that's very impressive stuff to say the least. I also kind of wanted to talk a little bit about the pre-orders in general. What did you think about that? Because everything sort of went fast, like here in particular. Like at the end of the day, everybody gave a lot of crap to PlayStation for the way that they did theirs, but I got to be honest, there's no lines. There was none of that. You know what I'm saying?
It was PlayStation, whether it was done incorrectly by Walmart. Apparently Walmart came out and launched way before, 24 hours before they wanted, or maybe whatever it was, the day before that Sony wanted to go. But you know what? In all honesty, the shotgun start, believe it or not, for me, it worked out. Microsoft's approach worked out for me as well. Yeah. But I was able to quickly lock down. Actually, me and you were doing your review show, Crap. I locked down a PS5 physical edition on Walmart.com the second they went for sale. With the shotgun start, and then the minute you finished your reaction show, I jumped in the car, I went over to GameStop. I was able to get another PS5 because I wanted two PS5s. It's just ironic. You guys can go back and listen. I wanted two PS5s and I wanted one Series X because the Series X will go into my family room, and I have a PC here that can play all Xbox games. So I don't need to have two Xbox Ones like I do currently. I bought them early on in the generation before Xbox did the whole PC is Xbox is PC thing mid-generation. So this case, I'm very happy, but I do agree with you. I think the shotgun start was just it actually worked out better for me and from other folks.
For me too. Yeah, because like I couldn't get X at a GameStop. There was a large line. They had like 7 available.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
So shout out the Dreamcast guy who's been on Crossfire a bunch. DC wrote on Twitter, and then I spoke to him. He literally, no joke. He's like, I'm getting to GameStop on Xbox Series X pre-order day 4 hours early. And when I saw him write that, I'm like, that's interesting. I was going to go an hour before they opened, but I'm like, that may not be enough time. Ended up going much earlier, and that was the case. I just literally was able to lock one down. But you had to get there hours and hours and hours earlier than they opened. Otherwise, there was no chance with the limited amount.
Like I saw you and J-Dub, like some people were getting there at 4 a.m, 6 a.m, and they didn't even open up till they didn't even open up till 11. You know what I mean? Like I perused down there around 10:30. You know what I mean? But
10:30, they were gone. I'll be honest with you. So the 7 allocated to my store, Crap, closest to me, the 7 that were Xbox Series X's, those were gone by 7:15 a.m. They were accounted for in line.
Yeah, exactly. So the funny thing was for me anyway, I was just like, while I was there, I was in the car, and then I'm like, is it even worth it? Because there was already like 7 people in line, So
No,
I think there was,
yeah,
there was already, there was actually more than 7. I think they had 7 consoles, and there was like 15 people in line. So I was like, I sat there and I got on my phone, and then at 11 a.m. I was already on the Microsoft Store site. Boom, got mine locked in. Boom, good to go. You know what I mean? Like if anybody's gonna have an allocation, it's gonna be the Microsoft Store. So and they don't charge until it ships. So you know what I mean? Like I save a little bit of cash out of pocket that day, and so sort of everything kind of locked down that way. But my PS5, I wanted to make sure that I got that in at GameStop because Amazon I don't really trust. I've seen multiple times
Amazon
and they're sending
seems
out
to be the worst one that I'm seeing, Crap, as far as reliability.
A lot of people having problems with Target and Best Buy too, and you know what I mean, and Walmart. Like there's been a lot of
so far. I will say this much again, as I not to sound like a broken record here, Crap, but I did get the Walmart pre-order like within the first 5 minutes of when it went. So I don't know if that's because I'm first wave, but I haven't gotten anything from Walmart saying that my order's canceled, and I know for a fact that my PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X at GameStop are secure.
Yeah.
So I mean, things are always subject to change, but I haven't noticed any issues. The biggest issues I've seen from people complaining on Twitter, rightfully so, by the way, is Amazon. Amazon seems to be the largest for pre-orders.
Yeah, they're like,
we just found out, right? But now the thing is everybody was all freaked out about the PlayStation, and then you saw today that in the UK, some retailers are saying that the Xbox Series X's are also going to be possibly, if you were told you were going to get a launch when, you may get it slightly after launch date. So same thing that's going on for PlayStation, you're seeing for Xbox. We haven't seen that in the States, I don't believe yet. But the article that came out beginning of this past week was referring to UK retailers, from what I saw.
And I do want to say that I got mine on Target.com. Same thing. I haven't got any notification that's going to be coming any later besides day of or day after launch. So everything good on this side.
Wow, that's pretty good. So you didn't get any kind of information like saying that yours might not get there in time or whatever?
Not at all. Just I check like every couple days and it still says launch date. So
you check every day too, because I still do that too. Like on the Microsoft Store, I'm like, let me go check my my stuff to see.
Everybody's
make
checking
sure
their mail daily now. It's kind of I mean, it is a situation. I can't say that if you do that, you're not wrong.
But
keep up on it.
like this is what I can say, man. This year has been mostly a throwaway year for most people, right? Like it's still good to be excited by basketball, football, new game consoles, new game, right? Like I don't like people shouldn't feel bad about that. I think that it's great to have some of that kind of normal feeling. There's a lot of stuff going on, and I just love the idea that fans in general have stuff to kind of take their mind off of things. I like that, I wish that it was as exciting as previous times. Maybe it's because I'm a little bit older now, but it's still kind of exciting. We're starting to see some of that stuff. I can imagine if we weren't in the middle of a pandemic, we would probably have a lot more shows and we would have seen a lot more from both these companies. And, so that's a little bit sad to think about that we haven't, got as much of a showcase as we probably would have in the past. But at the end of the day, I feel like both companies are kind of doing their best to sort of supply what they can. So
absolutely,
it's just like again, they've done a really good job. Like I don't want to take anything away from them because I think both companies are trying their best. Obviously, things happen and you want to put your best foot forward, but clearly things happen, and even though people think that we hate Xbox or whatever, them being able to even get out a console is pretty impressive in the way things are right now. So big props to them and Sony for being able to do that. At the end of the day, like their fans are going to be excited, and that's good to see. PlayStation fans are going to be excited. That's good to see. The people that can pull off getting both, that's good to see. I mean, that's the most expensive proposition for any two consoles at launch that I can remember. Even if you bought a PlayStation 4 and an Xbox One at launch, that was only $900, like plus tax. Like for this, it's like, man, you really gotta put out the cash, and so it is good to see him. Like Microsoft has some things going for them with Game Pass, but the only thing for me personally is like Game Pass in terms of what it's offering for next generation. It's meager, like the games that are going to be there at launch are going to be the least valuable for next generation because they aren't next gen games. It's like current gen stuff.
Crap.
So, yeah.
Oh, I just wanted to say, going off of the whole pre-order situation, how I mentioned earlier how the Series S is still available on Amazon UK. We all know traditionally the UK is the strongest place in Europe where Xbox does, compared to the rest of Europe where it's usually dominated by PlayStation. But I found that interesting that the Series S isn't doing so hot because we always hear that the UK gets a lot of Xbox love, and I'm just curious, just if we put on our Imagine caps on right now, if Halo Infinite showed well and was ready for launch, how different the narrative would be today. That's just something I think about sometimes. Like, we wouldn't, they would, all the influencers would be playing Halo, and we'd be talking a whole different conversation because it would be way more evened out. Halo versus Miles Morales and Demon Souls. So
yeah, that's a really good point, Nova. I do think that that's why Microsoft put all their eggs into the Halo basket. The question too, though, is now, this delay does more than just the negative effects that you just said for Xbox Series X. It also pulls a lot of people's questions in the 343, and whether 343 is capable of running this franchise. And I know everyone that loves Halo is gonna be like, Mooch, you don't know what you're talking about. They're great. That's fine. If you're happy, you're happy. I'm not talking anybody out of it, but there are people that are discussing it now, and I bet you that higher up in Xbox brass, they're starting to say, we got to start shifting around the leadership folks here because we got problems. They 343 does not have a stellar track record, and this delay, listen, they could play it off like it's no big deal, and it's just we're going to play old games for the first year. That's fine. Everything's great. I get it. I get it. But realistically, there's a reason Xbox put all of their eggs into the Halo basket, and that basket, literally, the bottom dropped out right before launch. And don't think that makes Phil and his staff happy. They're not happy about that because, like you said,
agree.
Nova, this would have been a different fight going into November if Halo was ready. Not only ready, but if Halo was ready and looking stellar.
Yep.
And that's something that we haven't seen. 343 is real. I think they're really on the hot seat, but that could be just my opinion.
I think so too. Vizlo says, "Hey, Crap, do you understand the genuine criticism you get from people, or do you write it off as dumb haters in your echo chamber?" I don't really look at having an echo chamber at all. Literally, most of the time I kind of mind my own business. Now there's some fans, and the reason why I say like the fans know the best way to reach me is Twitter, either on Xbox Live or PSN. I have the apps installed on my phone, so that's going to pretty much get you a direct response. Now, most people don't provide genuine criticism. Occasionally there is that. Like, I've had some people go, "Hey, maybe do your spiel of subscribe and this stuff at the end of the videos." Point taken. I've been doing that. You know what I mean? Like, that stuff is genuine criticism. People going, "Xbox rules and PlayStation sucks. You just a fanboy." Like, that's not criticism. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, that's just I don't know what that is, but that doesn't really affect me one way or the other. It doesn't really matter. Jay Barry, shout out Jay Barry. He says, "What made you guys pre-order?" He goes, "What made you guys pre-order a Series X? Is it the older backwards compatibility games or the future of first-party output?" Not a fanboy question, serious, curious. Well, the only reason that I did it, like, if I had just not had a YouTube channel, I wouldn't have done it.
Right.
But the fact that we talk about this stuff and this is going to be hot news, and like, what would I talk about? Okay, like, here we are doing Crossfire and M&C, Mooch. That Series X. What do you think about? Well, I don't know because I don't have right. Like,
I don't have one. Right.
Yeah.
So
I gotta have one.
Jay, I think
talk about it.
Really, he hits line item 1, 2, and 3 with that sentiment, right? Because the thing about it is we've been doing this long enough now where it's like, if you don't actually have the product in your hand or you haven't experienced it in one way, shape, form, or another, it's no one will take your word on it. So, like, I do think that's part of it. I think the other part of it is, Jay, I say this all the time. I'm getting $200. Now the numbers are out. I'm getting $200 for my Xbox One X, right? So a $499 console, right, is already going to be a lot cheaper for me day one with the trade-in value. You go and wait until June or July of next year, the console's still going to be $499, and I'm pretty sure after the market's saturated with Xbox One X's that GameStop and everybody else is selling online, I'm probably going to get anywhere from $125 to $100. So for me personally, even though it's more out of pocket now that there's multiple consoles coming out, it's cheaper for me in the long run to take advantage of that trade-in value and get it. So it's kind of, for me, it's a combination. It's probably 60-40, 60% leaning more towards Crap's answer and saying that it's something that I'd like to have in my hand and try out, and I can actually illustrate on Twitch or in videos and show people speeds and things like that. Also talk about the console. And then the other thing is the value. You know, to be able to get $200 off on day one for my Xbox Series X, that's already a value that you, if you wait 2 or 3 years, you may not even get at 3 years. You know what I'm saying? You're actually playing new generation games. Well, you're playing a new generation console.
Yeah.
In this instance for a lot cheaper than MSRP.
Yeah, and then like maybe next year Halo comes out and I'd be play through that, but like for the most part it's just so that I can be able to talk about it. Like it's the same reason I got a PlayStation 4. Like I was talking mad crap about PlayStation 4 without owning one for the, you know what I'm saying? It's like I couldn't really, so that was one of the driving points to getting one of those as well. So hopefully. Honestly, I don't really feel like the games are going to be there much outside of Halo for the first few years to begin with. But outside of talking points, I feel like that's probably why I'm going to do that. Condemned says 5 PlayStation consoles equals 5 rings of Bushido, which are, okay, so I looked this up. Compassion, courage, courtesy, duty, honesty, honor, sincerity. There you go.
Very cool. Thanks for that homework assignment too. Crap, that's outstanding.
I looked it up. I'm like, what is that? Okay, let me look that up. Good stuff. You know what I mean? Like, well, listen, man. Like, hey, my team got sports real quick. Got beat pretty bad on Monday night. Again, I feel like not having a crowd there. Not having that crowd there really hurts. Yeah. But today we're playing the Washington professional football team.
Yes. Congratulations on your victory.
Yes, hopefully that goes well. And
yeah. Well, the Giants are 0-3. We're looking to go 0-4. Like I said, at this point, I'm just hoping for a great draft pick. I don't know what else to say.
I mean, hey, Baron Rothschild says, Crapgamer read my comment. That's a good step. Never forget your next. But listen, when have I ever forgot that? I already said that I was heavy on the green Kool-Aid, right? Like, there's no denying that. They had the games. Like, and I've mentioned this multiple times before. I was at least happy. Like I think the difference between myself and a lot of influencers today is I was at least happy because I had the exclusives in the games to play back then, right? Like I was playing Titanfall and Killer Instinct, and Sunset Overdrive, Dead Rising 3, Forza Motorsport 5, Rise, like I said, Sunset Overdrive, Titanfall, Forza Horizon 2, the Halo Master Chief Collection. All that stuff came out within the first launch year. So for as much people wanted to talk crap and make fun of me, make fun of the Xbox, I had tons of games. I was having a blast. Microsoft were the ones that decided to change what they offered, to give up a couple years into a generation and to pack it up and get ready for the next generation. They were the ones that changed, not me. I was the one that was backing them and saying, hey, I believe in him. Phil's the guy. Trust the process, right? But then when you start to get later on, and like this year is a perfect example, and I see people just kind of throw away when I say this, Xbox hasn't released a AAA title this entire year. They haven't released a AAA title since September 6th of last year. We might not get another AAA title from them until November of 2021. That's almost 2.5 years between titles. So again, the one that changed, me, who bought an Xbox for the exclusives, or Microsoft, who stopped producing exclusives and basically gave up. Again, it's not a fanboy stuff. It's just how it is. Like, people want to kind of write their own narratives. Like, for me personally, I could never be an Xbox only influencer right now, because how the hell could you be happy? You can only be happy with tech if you have the games. The most important part is missing from Xbox. The games. The game. Right? The games. The most important part is missing. So I could never be and fake being happy for Xbox right now until the games are there.
If you got a huge restaurant, right, and you've got all the Wi-Fi, everything in the world in that restaurant is better than the restaurant next door, everything in the world, but you don't have a head chef, the food's not there, the restaurant's kind of, it's hollow. It's a hollow box at that point with great amenities, but nothing really to say that it's living up to what it was created for. And in essence, when you have the Series X right now, I ask people all the time, I say, guys, I'm not going to take away your excitement. Go for it, man. I got a Series X too. Tell me, what is it you're excited for? Maybe you'll get me excited. And the first thing they'll say, some people will say, like, I'm going to play this game at 60 frames. That's fine. An older game at 60 frames. That's fine. Or I'm going to play this older game at 120 frames. Okay. But most people come back and they go, well, I don't like anything. PlayStation 5's offering. I don't like any of their games. I don't like any of their games that are coming. Well, what? What are you talking about? Like I said, last generation, PlayStation 4 killed it out the gate, and they had Resogun, Shadowfall, and Knack. I mean, that's not that exciting. I mean, to have Godfall, to have Demon's Souls, to have Miles Morales, to have PlayStation's probably top-selling game or second top-selling game of this generation, Spider-Man Remastered. You've got that the what is it there? The Sackboy game. You've got Ratchet.
Which again, you were interested in that, right?
Yeah,
like you were like, hey.
I've been very hard on that entire series of games. I've never liked how they were focusing on the creation models. I know people like that, and that's what it was built for. Again, that's fine. I never liked those Sackboy games where the developers made a very small course for a platforming game, and then the rest of it was like, these are all what the gamers have made. Here's what I say. Let the developers develop, and let the gamers game. That's what I say. So I'm excited to see this game. I'm not saying I'm buying it day one, but I'm definitely it's got my attention. If this is a long, well-made platformer that comes out from this team, I'm interested in playing a platformer like that. I like how they have the interaction with the entire environment, right, Crap? I mean, you push something in 3D, it lands down, opens a bridge, you go over. Very Mario-esque, okay? Especially in the last, like Mario Odyssey. If they can do something different with that world and that 3D feature, I'm interested. Plus, if they start using the effects of the rumble effects of the controller, of the DualSense, and start getting you more immersed into that world with that platformer, that sounds like a lot of fun. If it's not your bag, it's not your bag. I'm not going to sell you.
It's not your bag, baby.
But
exactly.
Right? But that's a decent launch window as we go into the early parts of 2021. And on Xbox's side, again, like you said, we're going to be lucky if Halo's done by holiday 2021. We had Optimus Code on Crossfire, and I'm paraphrasing, I'm not putting words in his mouth, but he said he'd even heard that possibly we'd be looking into early 2022 before that game may be done, depending on the severity of the issue and depending on how much they want to change the game from its original state right now. That's going to all depend on its release date.
Exactly. And you know what, like some of this, like I read through some of the comments here, and it just doesn't, a lot of it doesn't really make sense to me because, you know, like this. Okay, Baron Rothschild says, you're talking about previous management. Phil Spencer came in and saved Xbox, dude. And he says, well, Phil didn't announce Connect. Phil was the head of Xbox Game Studios. Go back and read any of the comments. He's like, I had my part in this. I didn't say no to anything that they brought up, and I could have. He was there. He okayed everything. He was the head of Xbox Game Studios before the head of Xbox. So everything that happened, he was perfectly fine with and okayed it. Let's just get that part clear. And nobody made out better than Phil Spencer afterwards, okay? Here we are 7 years later, still no games, right? Like, how is that the last thing you fix? A coach gets 3 years, 4 years tops to turn things around. Right. In my opinion, you only turn things around. I don't care about the money that they make. I don't care about this or that point. I care about the games. If you're not putting out the games,
I'm just surprised that it looks to, and we said this for years, guys, and all the Xbox fans that are here in the chat, just hear me out. We said this for years, right? We're like, well, it's clear to us now that especially after the Xbox One X came out, that Xbox has stopped focusing on this generation. They're working on next generation, right? And I thought, I really did, when we were sitting down for that June, was it June or July show that they put, Xbox had their big show, July, I think, right? Was it July 23rd? Whatever it was. Yes, it was. I believe in July. I thought we were going to get absolutely floored by Halo and see something else that was coming, because I'm like, this is going to be amazing, because they stopped doing stuff for Xbox One X. Like, we didn't have any new games since what was the latest new IP? It was a Sea of Thieves, right, Crap?
Yeah.
And that was 2016?
2018, but they announced it in 2015.
Okay, yeah, that's what you say. Okay, so 2018, that's fine. But that's the lone new IP game, the latter part of the generation. So I'm like, that's okay. Listen, that's okay.
Yeah, and it was announced in 2015, and their last single player new AAA IP released in 2016, which was Quantum Break. That was 4 years ago now. Like, people will find that hard to believe. Right. That was 4 years ago, but it was 4 years ago.
But now
No, Crap.
But now we're entering this upcoming November, and and there's nothing. So they haven't done much the tail end of last generation. Yes, they did a lot as far as services, okay? They did a lot as far as making hardware, but they didn't make the important part. Like I said, it's the restaurant without the chef example, right?
Yeah.
The chef is the games. Like, if you don't have an exquisite 5-star chef, don't go build a $2 million restaurant, shell, that's got all the bells and whistles in it. Because if you got the greatest ovens, you've got the greatest technology, you've got the greatest registers, you got the greatest staff, but you got no one bringing the food out. There's no food to bring out. Yeah. Like, what are you doing? So that's what I'm saying. I was okay with them kind of taking their foot off the gas and be like, we are fully engaged to wow you next gen. I'm like, all right, let's do it. This generation's half over anyway. Let's go. And then you find out at launch, they're like, we got to wait till 2023. I'm like, what? I've been waiting. So that was the shocker. And I don't hear a lot of people talking about that. I was okay with the waiting. I don't mind. Like, you're making a better console. You're making better games. You're putting money in the studios. If your studios that you bought are not going to be ready for your launch or your first launch of your window, then that's fine. You do what you have to do. Let the companies make their games, but go out and buy a game like Sony did for a year with Godfall. Like, they
exactly
bought a third-party game that's exclusive to Xbox, and then I'd say, guess what? I need my Series X. I'm playing that third-party game. I need that. That's why I got to go buy it. And it's not fanboy talk. It's literally just consumer talk. Like, if we were standing in line having this discussion, that's what we would be talking about.
Exactly. Keith J says that's what insiders are for. Apparently, this was a comment I missed, super chat I missed 8 minutes ago. So I'm not sure what exactly that pertains to. But yeah, that's what insiders are for, apparently. I don't know. But so I mean that's and you're 100% right. Like I just feel like there should be new game. And like, people go, well, what about third party? I'm like, yeah, but third party you can play on PlayStation 5 plus those Sony first party exclusives. Right, like that's the kind of the point for me. Like, I get it, but at the same time, I just feel like they're missing the true reasoning behind getting a new console. Like, I bought a Super Nintendo, I wanted to play Mario World. I bought a Genesis, I wanted to play that Sonic the Hedgehog. Right, like when you bought a Nintendo 64, you played Mario 64. That wasn't available on the Super Nintendo, right?
Right.
When I bought a Dreamcast, it was to play, Sonic Adventure and the 2K games.
Yeah, I mean,
okay,
you can go as far back as you want.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, that's to me was what it was always all about. And so I don't understand this whole thing where people just act like
the first Nintendo Entertainment Center came out with Rob the Robot, with a game that was exclusive to the robot, and then you had Duck Hunt and you had Mario Brothers, right?
Yep,
and those were games you took home right out of the box. I mean, you can go back as far as you want with consoles.
Yep.
And I brought that up, and it was funny because shout out to Optimus Coding, and he's like, Mooch, you're right. As far back as I can remember, I always took a new console home and played a brand new game by generally that dedicated platformers development team. And that's not the case this time. Which, don't get me wrong, hey, not everything is always going to follow history. That's fine. Xbox ran into an issue with Halo. That's fine. I get it. And I applaud them for pulling the game back and not releasing it and launching it with as a mess as it was. So I applaud them for that. But what do you do in that case? You going locked down. They should have had a third party deal with somebody else if their first party wasn't ready. And crap, you've brought this up. Me and you've gone back and forth, not on the same page. We are now, but we were not on the same page when it came to Forza. Why is Forza Motorsport not ready?
Hey, listen, your guess is as good as mine. Like, I would have thought, like, even Phil Spencer has mentioned multiple times, they'd like to have a racing game at launch of consoles. I think they had one at launch of the Xbox. I think I know for a fact they had
Forza 5.
They had Forza 5 at the launch of the Xbox One. They even had Forza 7 at the launch of the Xbox One X. They also launched Project Gotham Racing 3 with the Xbox 360. So they always, it's always good to have a racing game within that launch area because racing games can really showcase, frame rate, resolute, that kind of stuff. Like, they can really showcase the graphics.
It hits home on a lot of topics, crap that other games won't dare mess with. Yes.
Yep. Condemn says, if Sony versus Microsoft is David versus Goliath, then David seems to have been given a heavy bolter. I think that's some kind of weapon, Mooch.
Yeah. It's some weapon, and apparently it works very well. I don't know. I think you made some great points there, crap, as far as next generation goes. And look, I'm excited. Here's the good news, right? So let's kind of turn this into a great news section too. I was saying this to a friend of mine. I said, it really stunk that we didn't get the announcements like we used to at E3 in June. Crap.
Yeah.
And then the pre-orders came up in June and July. You remember that, right? The old
Yep.
days, right? Going back all the way till last year. Anyway, right? The good E3 days. But nonetheless, the good news right now is if you have a PS5 or an Xbox Series X pre-ordered, the good news is you're 4 or 5 weeks away from playing these new consoles. I got to be honest with you, Crap. I am super excited right now. Like, you do this is like tech season, right? So I know you guys, everyone's going to not like this part, but like it's iPhone season, it's new console season. Like I can't wait. Like the new iPhone's probably coming out end of October. Of course, Mooch is excited about that. I know all you guys that are not iPhone fans are not excited about that, but I'm diehard Apple. You guys know that. I can't wait for that. I watch all the stuff on YouTube and all the tech talk on what they think the new features are going to be, how it's going to look, the cameras, etc. I like that. Same thing goes for the consoles. And Crap, we're 5 weeks away. I mean, you look over right now where you are, and you see your PS4. In your case, you don't. Your PS4 is getting repaired. But, right, or your Xbox One X, and you look over and you go, wow, I'm going to have a Series X here, and I'm going to have a PS5 standing right here, and it's going to be absolutely marvelous. And yeah, I mean, I would be lying if I didn't tell you the truth. I am looking forward to striking up Demon Souls. I'm looking forward to playing Spider-Man. Crap. I mean, I platinumed Spider-Man. I'm going to platinum it again. It really wasn't. It's dedication. You have to put time into it, but it's not a hard platinum. I'm going to do the platinum again on Spider-Man, and I'm going to play Miles Morales and platinum that. Like that's great. And I'm playing through Dark Souls Remastered. I just started that yesterday on Twitch. I'm going to play that through the month of October. I'm probably not going to platinum that because of the time issue. I've only got a month. That's not going to happen. But Demon Souls, I'd like to give it my best, and that's what I'm saying. It leads right into that launch window, and it's exciting, man. So what was a negative that we had to wait so long to get pre-orders and to get announcements and to get visuals on it? Now the excitement is here because now we're only 5 weeks away after pre-orders of getting these things in our homes and being able to use them. Yeah,
I agree. Like it's a crazy exciting time, and I think that's everybody should be excited. That's what new console launches are for, at the very least. And so now like people are getting excited. They're like, did you see how fast the PS5 was able to load this new game or whatever? Like that to me is super exciting. Like I get it. There's a lot of people that are like Xbox, and I've been on record, man. 2023, 2024, those are going to be pretty solid years for Xbox if you're an Xbox fan.
Oh yeah.
And people think I'm being schmarmy or something when I say that. No. I think 2023, when you start seeing stuff like Fable or Avowed or Hellblade 2 or Forza Motorsport, Everwild, I think that's when you're going to start seeing some of those games. And, and I think that they'll be set, but I just think it's such a long wait to what we've already been waiting, right? Like, it's like, oh, well, wait till this, wait till that. Wait. Wait. Like, exactly. So for me personally, I'm going to be waiting while playing my PlayStation 5. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's all I'm saying. Like, right. I think 2023, 2024 are going to be solid years for Xbox. Good on them for finally being able to lock down some stuff. Hopefully, they're great games because they have a lot to prove. They have to prove that not only can they release great games, but they can release great games consistently, right? Like, absolutely. That to me is the more important aspect. Like, Sony, Nintendo, they release great games consistently. Microsoft does not. And I think this generation pretty much proved that, where they didn't really release anything that was I consider great. Maybe Forza Horizon 3 was a great game, but other than that, from their first party or whatever, I can't think of anything that was actually great.
Do you expect Bethesda and id Software and the other great studios, now that Microsoft has them and they have the whole no crunch, no worries, don't worry about it, that mentality, do you think that the games will still come out? Because I mean, let's be honest. Fallout 4 did very well in sales. Let's put that out there. It did very well, but it also came with high criticism of old engine. I know that they say that Fallout 5 will have a new engine, which is great, by the way. I love Fallout. That's the thing. I love this Microsoft buy because I like just about every game that comes out of Bethesda. So I'm pretty excited about that buy. I think it's a great move. The question I have is are these games going to remain 100% exclusive? I think that Starfield and I think that possibly like an Elder Scrolls maybe, but like I think that Fallout 5, other games are going to be that are big name like Doom. I think those are going to go multi-plat because they're going to want to make that.
Be. I mean, I don't know. Executive said that Starfield was going to be Xbox and PC only.
That'll be PC and Xbox.
So that would be a smart thing if that comes out. Some people are thinking it comes out next year. Maybe. I don't know. We saw some pretty rough looking stuff.
I thought it was a couple of years for Starfield, but that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, if they manage to get that out next year, hey, great. You guys will have an extra game out there. I don't know if Starfield and Halo is comparative to a Horizon and God of War, but it's
a good point.
It's something out there for fans. You know what I mean? Like that would be better than this year when you got nothing. 0 AAA. So I think that would be anything is better than nothing. So I actually hope that they do. I'm not against that. If it's good, I'll play it. If it's not, then I'll skip it or whatever. Condemn says Todd Howard is going to ruin Microsoft with bad decisions. Well, Microsoft tends to ruin things with their own bad decisions a lot of the times.
Yeah, they don't need help from Todd.
Keith says, why can't you guys just compare PlayStation and Nintendo from this point on and stop talking about Xbox? They're going in a different direction. Well, they're still in gaming.
No,
so I think
that's fine. Listen, Keith, you're buying into Phil Spencer's propaganda there. That's fine. No, I think that Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo are still in the same conversation. Maybe in the future, you're right, Keith. If we go 5 years out, where we see Sony maybe makes seriously, well, not even 5 years out. Like I'm still under the impression. This is just an opinion, guys. I don't know. I know Phil, I guess, recently said that they're working on new consoles as we speak, which would mean a Pro of some sort. But I have a feeling that depending on what happens with the Xbox Series X, I can almost guarantee you a PS5 Pro is coming. I don't know if a Series X Pro, we'll call it a Pro or whatever you want to call it, a Series X Advanced would be en route. I don't know if Xbox is going to put another SKU out there. They've already got 2 SKUs going into this generation. Are they going to want to have 3 SKUs in 3 years? Maybe. I don't think so. I think they have a very powerful machine. I think the PS5 Pro will edge out the Series X naturally. It's 3 years after the fact. That's fine. But even if PS5 Pro does exist, right, Crap, what are they going to do? 14, 15 teraflop, whatever. It doesn't matter. Like the same thing I'm saying with Xbox and Sony is the same thing I'm going to say when Sony has a Pro that's more powerful, right? If that's the case, by the way. Microsoft might match. Like if Sony has 14 or 15 teraflops and Xbox has 12.1, it's still like the same. Like Xbox is still going to be great looking. Like it's still going to be amazing. It's the same thing with the 12.1 and the 10.3. Like these you're seeing right now with Valhalla and other games that whatever the Xbox is doing, the PlayStation is doing as well. So, they're both getting the same frames. They're both getting 4K. Yes, there'll be an analysis and they'll put everything under, 8,000 times zoomed in microscope on Digital Foundry. That's fine. But at the end of the day, these consoles are doing pretty much the same thing. It's the same thing we said earlier. And even if there's a PS5 Pro, it's still the Xbox Series X is still going to keep up with it. So that's why Microsoft might not elect to do that. They have the stronger console now. They don't mind maybe for the last 2 or 3 years not having that strength or that powerful console. It depends on how, because they're first party games. That's what I was saying too. By the time Microsoft hits its stride this generation, that's when the PS5 Pro is probably coming out, right?
Yeah.
2023, 2024. That's when the Pro would come out. So right when Microsoft's like, look at how amazing our games look on this, Sony's gonna be like, well, we have, first of all, the PS5 looks great as well, and the PS5 Pro is doing this now. So,
well, I mean, if you think about it, the consoles that sold the best this gen were the PS4 Slim and the Xbox One S. So, I mean, to me, to be honest with you, I like Sony, and I know it's like people think it's a fanboy thing, but I like Sony's tactic better at how they did it because they released the same power console, right? The PS4, the PS5, both those consoles are the exact same thing. It's just one has a disk drive, one doesn't. I think that's a very smart move as opposed to having a power differential, right? Like Microsoft maybe would have behooved them to release a Series X without a disk drive and just called it a day for $399. Then you would have matched Sony. Maybe they think having that $100 price difference is going to make all the difference in the world. I don't really know, but yeah, like to me, it probably would have made a little bit more of a difference. To that was a hell of a throw, Lamar. Good job. Sports. Sorry,
well, the Giants aren't until 4, so hopefully they'll be. Listen, right now I would be excited. We're playing the Rams, which means we're going to lose probably, but. I would love to be 1-3 sounds better than 0-4. So I can really get around that 1 win right now.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you guys lost to basically a backup team.
That's right.
Last week. So yeah, it's
we did.
It's very interesting.
Not looking good.
Everybody hit the like button as we're wrapping up. Also, get your stuff ready because I'm about to drop a couple of codes into the chat here in a minute. I just did want to talk about one other thing real quick, Mooch, and that was Digital Foundry was talking. They did their analysis on the on the stuff with on Spider-Man. Excuse me, right? So they did the analysis on Spider-Man, the remaster, whatever. John Linneman goes on Twitter, was talking about it, how he was impressed with it. Yeah. All of a sudden, you get the fanboys going in on him, right? Right, Mooch? Like, yeah. So I'll read this reaction. So John Linneman was talking about how surprised they were because they were able to accomplish so much with ray tracing on the PS5 so early. And somebody goes, if you want real ray tracing, there's a box that will be able to do it, and it's not the PlayStation 5. And then somebody responds to him, like, did you even watch the video? And then he says, well, when I say ray tracing, I talk about 100% ray tracing, not just shadow or reflection. And John Linneman says, hey, they both support that. And then the one guy comes back in and he goes, damn right, Series X will perform and show ray tracing better than PS5. It's not console wars. It's just the truth. And John Linneman goes, you may want to wait.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah,
you might want to wait on that because at the end of the day, and I've been saying this for a long time, and I know you have as well, we're looking at the smallest differential between Xbox and PlayStation consoles in terms of power at a launch than there ever has been. A 16 to 18% difference in power. That's nothing. That's nothing. The Xbox One X has a 45% power difference advantage over the PS4 Pro, and the PS4 Pro will still get games that will perform better, right? So at the end of the day, it's such a minuscule difference, and people think that there's going to be this huge difference. And I get it, right? I get it that what they're showcasing is completely different kind of things. But at the same time, it's not going to be this vastly different thing that everybody thinks it is. It's like these games, they're going to look very similar to one another at the end of the day. And I just feel like that really points it out. People are going to kind of look a little bit foolish, by thinking otherwise. Like, I just think that it's obviously that these things are going to kind of look very similar when it all comes out, when it's all said and done.
I completely agree, Crap. I think that's a good point. Like I say, time will tell. But like I said, the minute that Xbox has really got its stride this generation with their games coming out, like, think about it. We've all said this, right? And a lot of people have said this. You're looking at 2023, 2024 for games like Avowed and maybe some of the big games that are coming out from Bethesda. By that point in time, Sony's already got quite a mind share. They're already going to jump out to a massive lead in the States, probably in Europe as well. And at that point, friends buy where friends consoles, right? If people are waiting to jump the next generation, and a lot of people have already bought a PS5 for this generation early, friends kind of tend to go where their friends are. So they're going to stick with their PS4, go to the PS5, like gradual progression. And like I said, the minute Microsoft hits their stride in 2023 and 2024, that's exactly around the same time that I'm expecting Sony to have their PS5 Pro out. And then the power crown could either shift or become even more of a smaller gap if they both decide to upgrade. So, it could go from that 16% or whatever it is you just calculated. It could be down under 10% for either. And at that point, really, it doesn't matter for either. It doesn't even matter now.
I agree 100%.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, I exactly. I agree 100% that's exactly kind of what we're going to see. Hey, everybody hit that like button. It's been an incredible day. I've already dropped the PlayStation code in there. I'm going to drop an Xbox One.
Everybody goes, Mooch is going to I promise you I will not go for the code, guys. Even though it's a Mooch, it's very tempting.
Yeah. Here comes the Xbox code. All you got to do is copy and paste it. It's all good. I mean, they aren't huge games or anything, but little something to keep you busy.
A game is a game is a game.
Exactly. Actually, those are decent, games, I got to say. So yeah, those are pretty awesome, man. It's been
nice crap.
It's been a heck of a show. We like to do this show on Sundays. We realize that not everybody's up. Like, you have to look at the West Coast Mooch. That's a large part of the audience.
Absolutely.
They're not up. So the fact that we almost hit, 850, 900 people on a morning show, I think that's incredible. So much appreciated to everybody. Make sure you guys subscribe to Nova and Mooch and get them up over, get them some subscribers, get Mooch over that 10K. That would be great.
Give me over 100.
Finally, right? It'll be fantastic.
It would be great.
Don't forget to subscribe here as well. It's always welcome, and you guys can check out the content. A simple like goes a long way on videos, believe it or not. Trust me. With that being said, I think it's been a heck of a game. Mooch, what are you closing out with?
You did a great outro for me and Nova. I'll just say, guys, do check me out, the Mooch78 on YouTube. The same thing on Twitch. Guys, we are streaming right through Moochtober. We're doing haunted games as many nights as possible as I can, as work schedule will allow me to, on Twitch. So go over to the Mooch78 on YouTube and on Twitch. Do subscribe. Please hit that button. hit the follow button, hit the like button on the way out here too. As Crap said, the like button really does mean the world to us that make content and do this on a day-to-day basis. It truly shows just how much you do appreciate the work, and it goes a long way. So shout out to Crap, shout out to Nova, and I'll let Nova do a plug.
Yep. Go ahead, Nova. What you got?
Great show, everyone. Thanks for tuning in and getting all the likes. Catch me every Thursday at 7 o'clock on my channel, Insomniacs Podcast. All of our Twitter @ are on the bottom. Check it out. It's a great time. Please help me out, guys. Get to over 100 subscribers. I'm only 25 away. That's all I ask. And we'll catch you guys next week.
Awesome. Absolutely. Good stuff. And with that, guys, leave us a like. Maybe we get up over 500 likes. That would be great. I appreciate the new members, LDW, man. Appreciate it. You guys are awesome. We'll be back next week. Take care of each other. Be good. Rack them up. Game on. All that kind of good stuff. We'll catch you later. Take us out, man. Take us out.
Peace. All right. Peace.
Later.